Welcome to RNS Podcast. I'm Dylan.
And I'm Evan.
This week, Evan, we're going to talk about Whiplash.
Yay.
The film, critically acclaimed film, Whiplash. Did it win Best Picture?
No, it didn't.
It lost Best Picture.
Birdman won.
To Birdman,
Yeah.
right. That was a good year for film.
Yeah,
2014.
It probably was.
But yeah, we're going to get into Whiplash in just a minute, but I just want to thank you for watching and encourage you to like the video.
Please.
Or subscribe or comment, or any various of those types of calls to action.
Yep.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to mention, Evan, before we talk about today's movie?
Should we talk about what we watched recently?
Sure. Why don't you go first?
Yesterday we saw Marcel
the Shell with shoes on.
Yeah, we saw that. And it was fine. It was good. I liked it.
It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very like chill movie.
Very chill.
It was like
it was a chill time, guys.
I mean, it was just like a chill time. Try not to think too much about it and just fucking. No, that's a joke. But yeah, it genuinely was like a lax kind of movie. And if you've seen the shorts, like the Marcel the Shell,
I had not
YouTube shorts.
before seeing the movie.
When the trailer came out, I watched like 3 of the shorts, and it's pretty much a lot like the shorts.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. It's a lot like the shorts, so it would be a great movie. I said this when we left.
Does it look better than the shorts?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a little bit of an improvement to the animation and stuff like that. Yeah. But it's kind of the same. It's just like the shtick is like a shell being like, I sleep in bread. And
yeah.
It's like the same. It's the same thing.
Just cutesy BS.
Yeah. But yeah, I like it. Jenny Slate has a nice voice.
Yeah, well, cool.
I like her voice. And yeah, it was a great film.
I liked the Nana.
Yeah, the Nana was a good character.
What's her name? Voiced her.
Good for her.
Isabella Rossellini.
Who's
cool?
I recognize that name. Who is she?
Well, she was in Blue Velvet.
Oh.
She was like,
Blue
the
Velvet?
chick.
Oh.
The chick who sang, she wore Blue Velvet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, how about that? She's old.
So yeah, well, cool. She is old.
Oh.
Yeah.
3 out of 3 stars. Marcel the Shell.
I give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, that's alright.
Yeah. It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7 out of 10.
Good.
And then I also saw Nope this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I liked it.
Yeah, you had very low expectations for Nope.
Because I did not like Us, so I liked Get Out. I actually like Get Out quite a bit. That's a good movie. And then when I saw Us, I was extremely disappointed. And then the trailers for Nope did not look so promising to me, so I went in with pretty low expectations. But I ended up enjoying it more than I thought it would. And it's not, I was telling you guys this, but it's not really a horror. It reminded me more of kind of like a Spielberg type like alien adventure movie. And I like the vibe we were going for. But there is one part that's kind of heavy on the horror, and I actually thought that was like the best part of the movie.
Oh,
yeah?
Huh.
So yeah, Jordan Peele, thank you. Well done. I like the movie.
I did skip Us just because it was so like, I don't know, from the trailers and then when I heard about it, I was like, this is not for me. But this one,
the scene in Us where they first like confront the doubles is like really good, and then the movie goes nowhere from there.
Oh, okay.
But that scene, so I always thought after I saw Us, like, oh, this would have been a better short film than an actual movie. But anyway, sorry to cut you off.
No, it's fine. But yeah, Us didn't really interest me too much, but I'll probably watch Nope coming up pretty soon.
Yeah,
but
I recommend.
It's interesting because all of his movies so far have been pretty like Twilight Zone-y.
Yeah,
like all 3 of them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's kind of cool.
Well, he also didn't he like host the Twilight Zone reboot or whatever?
I don't know if he executive produced or if he was like a director or like a showrunner.
Yeah,
but whatever. Like he was involved in the new Twilight Zone.
So
I heard it was bad though.
I never saw it. I
heard it wasn't good.
I think it was on streaming, wasn't it? Wasn't it on like one of those stream? Was it like Paramount or something? It was on one of the streaming services.
Yeah, it was very under the radar.
Yeah. Yeah, it probably got canceled because I have not heard anything about it in a long time.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that since like 2019.
Yeah, so probably didn't do too well.
Yeah. But Jordan Peele, I look forward to your next film, and I also look forward to your current film because I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. Oh, and also can I say a little tidbit?
Sure.
When I saw the movie on Letterboxd, I was like, oh, there is. I don't want to spoil it, so I was like, oh, there's something in this movie that reminds me of Evangelion. And then, like, the next day, Jordan Peele liked a tweet about Evangelion. So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. How about that?
How about that?
Sweet.
So yeah, those are the new movies. I think I saw both of them, and you saw Marcel.
I watched half of.
Oh, you saw the Gray Man finally. Well, kind of.
I watched half of the Gray Man before Evan got here. Sorry.
I shouldn't say finally because it just got the Netflix release. Yeah. I just happened to go see the theatrical one.
Yeah, but it's alright so far.
Yeah.
I watched also half of another movie.
Which one?
I watched half of Cape Fear.
Oh, you didn't finish it?
I didn't finish Cape Fear either.
It's a good movie.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I liked it. De Niro's scary in it.
What else? No, he's good in it. His accent takes me out of it though, for real. His accent is not good.
Yeah, maybe I can see that.
Yeah, his accent is not good, but he's good in it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I like Cape Fear. I thought it was good.
No, I was enjoying it, but I just got too tired and I just went to sleep.
I don't remember what year it was, but I remember I watched it on New Year's Day, but I don't remember what year.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I've watched half of Spectacular Spider-Man. I'm rewatching it. It's on Netflix now. It's a great show. What else? I watched, what's it called? Lars and the Real Girl.
Oh, yeah.
That was a really good movie.
That is a good movie. I haven't seen it in a long time.
That was a really good movie,
in
my opinion. That might be my favorite Ryan Gosling movie. To be honest, Evan.
That's kind of an L choice, but it's okay.
Yeah,
JK.
it's kind of a Lars choice. Lars and the Real Girl choice.
JK.
That's a great movie.
It is a good movie, yeah.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, I like it. I thought it was good.
So like
From the director of Cruella.
Thank God. Yeah, Cruella's,
Cruella was good.
Cruella's cool.
It was a good movie.
Yeah, it's not bad. Did I watch anything else? I think I watched probably something else, but yeah, you get the idea. I've been watching some stuff. This week I kind of wanted to do that movie We Are the Flesh, but then I watched Whiplash before that, and I was like, oh, let's just do Whiplash, because Whiplash is good. So
it's a good movie. It's very good.
Yeah, it's a great movie. So I think, we can get into Whiplash now.
Yeah.
Well, you've been watching Breaking Bad,
I have been watching Breaking Bad. I'm like almost done with season 4 right now, so if you know what's happening in season 4, that's where I'm at.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, sweet. Yeah, I want to watch Breaking Bad too, and we're going to try and think of some excuse to talk about Breaking Bad, probably.
We'll do it.
At some point, in a long form type way, that'd be fun. So yeah, Whiplash. Evan, can you tell me about Whiplash?
Yeah, actually, can I, I've done this before, but I thought it was really well put, so can I read the Letterboxd synopsis for the movie?
Sure.
Because I thought it was well put.
Sure.
It says, I forgot what other movie I did this for, but I was like, I thought it was like really, really well put. It says on Letterboxd, under the direction of a ruthless instructor, a talented young drummer begins to pursue perfection at any cost, even his humanity.
Ah.
I was like, I feel like that's pretty spot on.
That's about what happens?
Yeah.
And this movie is pretty concise. Like, this movie doesn't, waste your time.
I agree. Yeah, definitely.
It's really tight. Really tight movie.
It is. Just under 2 hours. It's like an hour 50.
Doesn't even feel like it.
Yeah.
Doesn't even feel like it. Feels like 90 minutes.
Yeah.
In a good way.
I agree.
Yeah.
Directed by Damien Chazelle.
Damien Chazelle, GOAT.
Do you want to talk about him briefly?
Slight GOAT, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's only had 3 movies right now, but...
So, La La Land...
Yeah, I did not like La La Land.
I want, for just a brief moment, we'll talk about La La Land. I love that movie. Evan doesn't like it.
Yeah.
But I
love Ryan Gosling, but I don't love La La Land.
La La Land, would you put at the bottom of your Ryan list? Bottom of the Ryan Gosling filmography?
Maybe. Yeah, probably. I do not like that movie.
I
know I'm in the minority though. So.
Well, you're kind of in the this is like up its own ass kind of thing.
Yeah, that's how I felt when I saw it. I mean, maybe I should give it a second chance. I only saw it when we saw it in theaters at one time when it came out.
I just really liked the message. I thought it had a good message, and I thought the rest of the movie was cool and entertaining and artful. He likes jazz, I guess.
He does like jazz. Yeah,
Damien Chazelle,
right. Yeah.
Is that his name?
It is. Yeah.
I think I've seen all his movies now. All his proper
feature-length
movies.
This La La Land and First Man. So
First Man.
Yeah, and First Man I really liked. That one I did like.
So I
think I like that one more than you liked it.
I like First Man less than La La Land, but I think all of them are very solid.
Yeah.
All of his movies are very solid. First Man I actually got to see.
You saw it early, right?
I got to see it early. Mm-hmm. So how about that? That was so nice. They haven't brought that back. where like radio stations or like news article websites would put like, oh, if you're in these towns, like send us an email.
Wasn't it Collider?
Some of them were through Collider.
Okay.
Yeah. But they have not brought that back since COVID, so that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
At least as far as I know. But yeah, I got to see Wonder Woman early, First Man, Lego Ninjago. I took Andy to. There's some cool movies. But yeah, First Man, I don't know, it was pretty solid. It was a little slow, a little dry for me. But it had like a great sense of weight to the actual like, because you know we see like alien spaceships like blow up every week,
yeah,
like in movies and TV shows and stuff. So it's pretty impressive that you can make like a
real life space story,
60-year-old rocket ship story, still like have a lot of weight and power to it. So that, you know, and like I remember the acting was good. I like Ryan in it. I remember it being a good movie. I don't remember it super well, but
yeah, I liked it a lot. I liked how it like more focused. Like, even though obviously the space thing was a big part of it, it really just focused on his character.
Yeah.
I really liked that, and I thought Ryan Gosling was great on it. And I really liked how a lot of it kind of focused on his, like, trauma from losing his daughter. I thought that was a really good part of the movie. But yeah, so I quite enjoyed it. I have not seen it in theaters, but I'll probably revisit it soon, especially after watching Whiplash.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
But yeah, the point is, either way, I love his 3 movies. I'm very excited for his next movie. What is it called?
Oh, Babylon.
Babylon.
Yeah.
With Goat.
Tobey Maguire. Yeah, Tobey Maguire's in it. He plays Charlie Chaplin in it.
Yeah, so that'll be cool. You know, he kind of looks like Charlie, doesn't he?
Maybe. Maybe I need to see the full Get Up first.
Yeah. Well, that's very exciting. Babylon.
Robert Downey Jr. also played Charlie Chaplin.
Goats. But when does it come out? End of this year?
Yeah, probably around Oscar season. So.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet. Because, yeah, like I said, he hasn't missed yet, so. Yeah, let's get into actual Whiplash. So this is his first feature-length film?
Yeah,
Whiplash. And, yes, J.K. Simmons plays the drum teacher.
Yes.
Miles Teller plays his student.
Andrew. Well, he's not really a drum teacher. He's like...
Oh, sorry, conductor.
Yeah.
He's like but he is like a band teacher for a college, right? For like a prestigious... Is it a music college or an art college?
I think it's music. Yeah.
Music college, okay.
I forgot what it's called. It's some school in New York.
Yeah, fancy school. Yeah. And, hijinks ensue.
They do, yeah. Yeah, I just want to say off top, like, so I first saw this movie in high school, and then I thought it was, like, really great back then, but I don't know, when I rewatched it today before doing the podcast, I was just like, God damn, this movie is, like, so fucking good. It's, like, perfect to me. But anyways, so how should we start talking about it?
Well, I guess just to keep going off what you're saying, just like in a general kind of way. Yeah, I first saw it 2 or 3 days ago, which I'm actually coming to realize that I think I might enjoy not watching the movie immediately before we record. That might be a good idea. I mean, for you, it's no problem because most of the movies we watch you've seen already, so you're just watching it again. But when you see it for the first time, it's kind of hard to, you know, it's good to sit on it, you know, for a couple days. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and like I said, there was some other movies I was considering picking, but I was like, oh, I'll watch Whiplash first, and it felt like I was like, well, this is a great movie, we should just talk about this, and I feel like there's kind of a lot to say about it. It's an interesting subject matter.
Yeah.
Basically, the movie at its core is kind of about artists and like the kind of the well, I guess not just necessarily artists.
Yeah.
But it's about drive.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, about that kind of. It doesn't have to be about artists. It could also be about work or stuff like that. But it's also about. It is about artists in that way that they're kind of. You have to be self-driven to be an artist.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that kind of. What you go through to try and achieve being the best in that field and stuff like that. There's not a whole lot of.
But at the same time,
like that, you know?
like. I don't know if it's like not necessarily only in this case in this movie. It's not only like self-drive. That's definitely a part of it. But there's also like he wants the approval of J.K. Simmons' character, who is like the most toxic asshole. You know what I mean?
I don't think he really wants his approval. I think they both have the same mentality. I think I think they have fundamentally they agree with each other about what a great musician is.
Yeah.
Because before he even really is like tormented too much by J.K. Simmons' character, Fletcher.
Mm-hmm.
I think before that he even kind of says like.
But I feel like J.K. Simmons' character kind of drives him to the point where it's like, it's not even fun anymore. You know what I mean? And that can be an aspect of being an artist, of course. You're like, especially when you come into perfectionism, like, you know what I mean? You want to be one of the greats, like he says. But, like, because he even mentions that to him, it's like, oh, what if you, like, this ruthlessness is, like, stopping someone from becoming the next, I don't know the name of these jazz players, but whoever he says.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't think he's entirely wrong there. You know what I mean? Because I feel like you got to have some fun with it.
One key thing about the movie, so we didn't really get into the beginning yet, but there is a key kind of thing that makes me think the movie does lean towards like a negative view of their perspective, of like Andrew and Fletcher's their perspective. When they're having dinner, what is it? God damn it. It'll come to me later. Sorry about that. I don't know. You want to backtrack?
To what?
Backtrack a little bit. Because I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself.
Okay, well, I don't know. How do you want to talk about the movie? Do you want to start from the beginning?
No, I apologize. Yeah, I kind of lost my point. There is something I remember that makes me, indicates that what they're doing is not the best way to go about it. But it'll come to me if we keep going, so. Yeah, I guess Andrew gets into the school.
Yeah, so he's a freshman, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he is. Okay. He's only 19, which is funny because Miles Teller was like 27 when they made this movie, but whatever, who cares?
Especially when you're a college age, you can fudge it.
Oh no, it doesn't matter. I just thought that was funny.
No, I just mean as compared to the Spider-Man castings and stuff like that. It's definitely more digestible when it's you're a college student and you're someone in the late 20s.
No, it's fine. He looks young. I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, he does look young enough, especially with the full clean cut look.
Yeah.
Compared to J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
Balding. Not balding, bald.
Yeah. Well, J.K. Simmons, he's also supposed to be college age in the movie, so that's kind of scary. Joking. But, yeah, so he's basically in kind of an intro band class, I guess. I don't know. I feel like we'll struggle with something because neither of us are really music people. To describe some things, but
I think that is one thing I wanted to mention too. Is you totally don't have to be into music to get this
no,
movie,
definitely not. Yeah,
which I think is awesome because I think if you are a music person, you could probably get even more out of it, or at least probably get more out of it and understand kind of the intricacies. But you definitely don't need to be into music to get it. There was some movie I was watching recently where they kept explaining away some sort of expertise that was featured heavily, and movies do that all the time where they'll just brush past all of it, and it's well, if you don't give us anything or don't explain anything, why do we care? But I think this movie does a good job of kind of feeding you some information, and you get the tension of why certain I don't know about tempo, but that whole scene where he's screaming at him about tempo, it kind of teaches you through that scene.
Yeah, because the rushing dragon thing when he's slapping him.
Exactly. Yeah. It kind of even if you don't get it, it helps you get it. And,
yeah. Luckily, I already knew tempo was time basically, so I kind of got the basic gist.
It's not super complicated.
Yeah, no, but yeah, like you said, they do a good way of explaining it through the visuals and the story instead of them having to be tempo is blah blah blah. Oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah, explaining it or just being oh, this matters because of this.
Yeah,
this. It's very fluid in that way about all the music jargon and.
No, yeah, for sure. I agree.
It's really good.
And that's not something I really even thought about, but the fact that I didn't even have to think about that, I think, kind of speaks to his point. Yeah, it's oh, you just get the idea. But yeah, so I don't necessarily know all the jargon, but yeah, he's in whatever band class he's in, and he's just the alternate. He just turns the pages for the other dude who comes back later, the red hair guy. Actually, no, that's not even how it starts. We see him before then. And I think this part is kind of important.
How does it start?
Because it starts out with him just drumming, like, kind of practicing on his own.
Oh,
and J.K. Simmons' character
that's the
walks
first thing
in.
that happens, yeah.
And I think that's when he kind of catches his attention.
Yeah, it's interesting because the first thing he ever does is be an asshole.
Yeah.
Because later, J.K. Simmons kind of explains, like, oh, like, you were on board when I saw you in the room.
Yeah.
But he acts like he was disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, J.K. Simmons, basically Miles Teller is drumming, practicing, and then J.K. Simmons is like, oh, prove yourself to me. And then J.K. Simmons just walks out.
Yeah, yeah.
And he plays it like he was, like, disappointed, but he kind of wasn't.
No, yeah, I'm gonna say, I think, so this whole movie, honestly, like, I don't know if this is the right way to put it, but the whole movie, I feel like I'm gonna, like, I don't know if this is a good word to use, but I feel like the whole movie kind of him grooming Miles Teller character. But, like, when he first sees him, I feel like he kind of saw something in him immediately in the beginning of the movie. And I'm guessing that's why later, when he's in that band class where he's the alternate, he came specifically for him, I think. Do you agree with that?
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, remember when he gets Miles Teller into his class?
Yeah.
He came to that class and he like gets a bunch of people to like try to play.
Yeah.
I think he really only came there specifically for Miles Teller.
Yeah.
Andrew. His name's Andrew Neiman, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
I agree.
They never say that explicitly, obviously, but
yeah,
that's what I thought.
It does kind of seem like he does that though, like every once in a while. But it does seem like he was like ready to go try Miles out.
Yeah, yeah.
Test Miles, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew,
if
you will.
And what did J.K. Simmons' name? Fletcher.
Yeah,
Fletcher.
Something Fletcher.
Yeah. Is it Terrence?
Maybe, I don't know. But wait. Fletcher is like a good.
Yeah, a good evil sounding name.
Good name.
Is it Terrence Fletcher? Yeah. Okay.
You mentioned to me that you watched or that you wanted to watch a video essay or something. I don't remember if you said you watched it or you wanted to watch it, but it was about him, about Fletcher.
Oh no, I had seen this already before we
Was it Analyzing Evil?
I don't think it was that one. Okay. But it might have been.
Because he uploaded one. It's funny because this has happened
a few weeks ago.
This has happened a few times where like big YouTubers I subscribe to, like they upload like right before or right after us, they upload a video about something we're talking about. Like Red Letter Media uploaded their Roger Rabbit video like right when we did.
Really?
And then
they're killing our ideas.
Analyzing Evil uploaded the Terrence Fletcher video like a week ago.
Oh, so it couldn't have been that one because I watched it a few weeks ago.
Not a week ago. It was like a couple days ago actually, but
yeah, so it wasn't that one. I'll send it to you later. I can't remember who made it.
Okay.
I had to find it, but yeah, it was a good video. But yeah, I think in that video essay also just kind of set up the idea about this relationship that he has with Andrew, this very abusive relationship. And yeah, I think it kind of starts there. So it's like, I don't know, it's like, I feel like he's trying to turn, like he sees something in Andrew at the beginning, and then the whole movie is like him kind of through extreme measures trying to get Andrew to come to like greatness or whatever.
Yeah, it's like the army or
yeah,
like oh, enough pressure, you'll get a diamond, or
you know what I mean?
That type of mentality.
Yeah.
And also Fletcher has kind of that speech where he's like, I don't know, god damn it, maybe it is better if I watch it right before. But he, what was it? Damn. Well, I remember the other thing I was going to say. God damn it. My thoughts are all over the place. My fault. What were we just talking about?
I was talking about how it was an abusive relationship between them.
There's something else we were talking about.
I don't know.
Nah, sorry. I don't know. But there is one part where he does mention, like, oh, I never trained. This is what I was thinking of earlier. He was like, I never trained, I never wound up with, like, the next blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like you said, like, we don't know the jazz players' names. But the next great player, I never, like, made one. And it's like, dude, do you think maybe that means it's not fucking working?
Yeah, yeah.
That's kind of what I thought. Because I do think what he's saying, or that's what I was thinking, too. He has that whole speech where he's kind of like, oh, like, these fucking, like, participation trophies. And, like, it's a very, like, his character's a very like anti-participation trophy type character.
Yeah,
and he says like, "Good job," never did like anything.
Anyone. He said "good job" was like the most dangerous words in the dictionary or whatever. Like something like that.
The worst thing you can say to somebody or something like that.
I was like, Jesus Christ! And in that moment, I was thinking about it because like sometimes people are working like, "Oh, good job, Evan," when you do something. And I was like, "Is that bad?" I was like, "You got me rethinking myself."
No, I think he's completely wrong. I do, but it just it's crazy to me that Miles Teller doesn't kind of realize when he asks Fletcher that. Like, sorry, I keep alternating between the actors and the character names. Andrew and Fletcher, I'll call them. So Andrew's the student. Andrew doesn't realize after asking Fletcher about that what he's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he's the one that asks him like about like, have you had a success or whatever. He's like, no.
Yeah.
Like he asks him questions like that would indicate that what Fletcher's doing doesn't work. And I do think tough love and that kind of like some type of figure that you need to like, some authority figure that you need to I don't know the word, like atone to, report to, whatever the fuck, like that's good in a lot of ways for a lot of people. And especially in a creative field, it's really good to have like a strong figure you're reporting to, because otherwise, like if you're a creative person, like you're just kind of left to your own devices unless you have an actual job, which Andrew doesn't. Like he's a student, obviously. So I think like a strong figure like that is great, but yeah, he takes it way too far.
Yeah,
that's the thing. And I guess like Andrew just like, I think since they both see it the same way, you know what I mean? They both see it the same way, so...
Well, it's like, I feel like there's a reason for that. I think J.K. Simmons kind of gets him to buy into that point of view. And also, I think because of his background, so there's a kind of a quick thing in this movie, but I think it's important. And they actually mentioned that in that video essay. So I think he initially becomes interested with Montel because he sees him practicing. He's like, oh, he's pretty good. Like, he sees something in him. And then, before he plays for the first time, that first day he's in that class, J.K. Simmons comes out and starts, like, talking to him. And he's kind of being nice, kind of getting him to lower his guard. He starts asking him about his background, like his family, and if he has any musicians in family. Yeah. So I think this is somebody he can easily take advantage of, cause you know what I mean? Because it's like, he's not from like a rich family. He doesn't have any musicians in the family. So it's like, I think he sees this as like his only chance. You know what I mean? He doesn't have like any other route. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's kind of low key, but like he kind of suggests that his father, well, he says it outright later, but in that first part he's like, his father looks kind of bad because he's like, oh, my dad's a writer. Well, that's who he teaches. And he's like, oh, what university? Well, he doesn't even teach at a university. He teaches at a high school. Yeah. Which is funny. That happens in Breaking Bad also.
Oh, yeah.
You remember Walter? They're like, yo, what university are you at, Walter? He's like, oh, Albuquerque High School or whatever. But yeah, do you kind of get what I'm saying, though? It's like somebody he can very easily manipulate.
Yeah.
All he has is like his dad, his mom left. No musicians in the family. So this is kind of like his only shot, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because he got in presumably on like a scholarship.
Yeah,
Yeah, he has to fall in line with it. But
I think that kind of speaks to. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
It's like it speaks to how much of a piece of shit I think Fletcher is, because it's like that's like what people do in all kinds of like abusive relationships. They find somebody who's easy to manipulate, and I think he very specifically chooses Andrew for that reason.
Yeah, it's like what cult leaders do. And like if you have people in your life, they separate you from them somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
Stuff like that. Yeah, that makes sense. Like in an academic kind of social way, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like he's vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he doesn't have any, and also he doesn't have any friends.
Yeah. I mean, he even says that.
Yeah.
Himself. He doesn't have friends.
But I do think he's not as. I don't really read it that way because I don't see Andrew as like I don't see him as vulnerable in that way. I think he wants what Fletcher is doing. I don't know if he's being.
Oh, you say so? He likes it being abused.
No, I think he seemed to be that committed before Fletcher, to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because he I'm trying to think of the timeline of the movie, but I feel like there was things that indicated that he was that serious about it before Fletcher really got his little fingers in him.
Yeah.
Stuff, whatever.
Well, then maybe to your point, it's like, I guess maybe Tarrant kind of helps reinforce that mindset he has.
Yeah.
And take it to the next level.
I think he gave him what he wanted. I think he did.
I mean, it's certainly a possible. I have seen other people talking about this movie, and they say, yeah, like, it's pretty bad. Like, saw somebody call them both sociopaths.
Kinda.
I don't know if I go that far. Well, maybe about Fletcher. Maybe he's a sociopath. But,
Fletcher might be.
Yeah. I don't know if they give you enough about Andrew to say that, but I don't know. I had to read into it.
I would argue,
think about it more.
I would argue maybe Andrew isn't, but I think they're both close, at least. Because I don't know, that scene of him like with the family dinner.
Yeah.
Like that scene is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is. That scene is like I remember in like when I saw the movie in high school, I was like, oh, that's pretty badass. But when I watch it now, I was like, it's pretty cringe.
No, it's not.
It is cringe.
It's not based. It's cringe.
Yeah, it's really cringe.
When you grow up, you realize it's cringe.
No, seriously, I was like, oh damn, he owned his family. But no, it's really cringe. Yeah.
But they're.
But that is after he meets Fletcher, though.
Yeah, that one is after.
It is after he meets Fletcher, because he specifically mentioned the story about throwing the symbol at the guy's head, and that Fletcher was the one who told him about that. And yeah, that's another way he kind of gets Miles Teller's character to believe that, oh, these abusive tactics are what works, because he says, again, sorry, I don't know the Jazz player names, I apologize, but one Jazz player threw a fucking symbol at another Jazz player's head, another drummer, I think.
Yeah. Because he wasn't playing good enough.
Yeah, and then, because of that, he went and practiced harder and became one of the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because like he was embarrassed, everyone laughed at him. And he was like, oh, the drummer went home and he never wanted to be laughed at again. He practiced for a year and he played the greatest like drum solo ever made.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the story.
Mm-hmm. The greatest drum solo ever made.
Yeah. Yeah. That's basically what he said.
Yeah.
But that scene, do you want to talk about that scene at the dinner?
Yeah, sure.
I thought that was a really cool scene. And like you said, it's cool to me that you kind of change your perspective. Yeah. But I do think it would be annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would be kind of pissed if I was Miles Teller. Just because you don't... I think the indication is like, oh, football is so easily accessible to most people. But, like, music, you don't really understand... Like, most people don't care about it, like, in that deep of a way. Especially, like, classical music or, like...
Well, should we set the stage a bit more? Just in case somebody watching this has not seen it.
Yeah, sure.
Because I don't know, like, just about the football thing. I don't know if that makes sense. But, like, he's eating family... he's eating his family. He's eating dinner with his family. And, like, his cousins, like, play football.
Well, so what is it? Like, his uncle and aunt? And his dad?
Yeah, it's his uncle, his aunt, and his cousin, and his dad. And there's an interesting little part in this, too. His uncle is, like, busting his dad's balls, saying, like, oh, what is this? Like, you can't even chew it. So it kind of speaks to both him, Andrew, and his dad. They're, like, people kind of easy to walk over.
Yeah.
If it makes sense. It's a little moment. I don't know. It's like, I felt like... that kind of speaks both about his dad and Andrew.
And I think that also, like, that part really... This movie's really tense.
Yeah.
And it was really, really interesting to me. I'm gonna bring this back around to the family dinner part, because there's a transition.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to mention this. It always feels like Fletcher's gonna beat the shit out of somebody. And I thought it was really fascinating that he never puts his hands on anyone. He does throw stuff at Fletcher and, like, throw shit and, like, whatever.
You mean Fletcher throws something at Andrew?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fletcher, like, throws shit around.
The chair. He throws the chair at him.
And also, he's, like, going around,
and
like,
that's right after he tells
over.
him the story about the symbol, too.
Yeah,
So I thought that was very intentional. That he throws something at his head.
Yeah.
But sorry.
But yeah, you always, or at least me, like the royal you always feel like he's gonna fucking hit somebody or beat somebody. Like it's a very like intense. It's just very intense the whole time. And then
you remember when they do that first show and like some random dude walks in the background, he's like, "Get on my side, or I'll fucking demolish you." You remember?
Yeah. And he was probably just some like what's the word, like assistant director.
Yeah,
trying to tell them like, "Hey, go out."
Yeah, you remember? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. But it's crazy that, and then Miles Teller obviously tackles him.
Yeah.
And then you kind of learn like more about Fletcher, and he winds up saying like, you realize that probably the thing he cares about most in the world is music. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It was really cool to me that they had all that tension and stuff that was really kind of just passion about the craft and everything, and he never winds up hitting anyone or anything. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It was just really... It felt like an intentional kind of way to convey also like his passion about music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's angry about it. Is it anger or is it passion?
I think he channels his passion into anger.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he thinks that's what's going to turn people into great musicians.
Yeah,
But I don't know.
And that's what he says later. That's what he says, why I'm so hard on people, because he's trying to get that next great player.
Yeah. But it's just, I don't know, it's just a really good way to convey his passion for music.
Yeah,
But the way this relates to we were just talking about the dinner scene, there's a really, I forget exactly what scene it is, but it's a very intense scene about Fletcher. And like I said, I had this kind of intense feeling about Fletcher like through most of the movie, where it feels like he's going to beat the shit out of somebody. Mm-hmm. So I think it might have been after the drumming scene with the three of them, like going back and forth, like
that's a great scene.
The very really intense scene where Fletcher's making them, the three different drummers, including Andrew, go back and forth drumming really fucking hard. And
to see who could do it the fastest.
Yeah, and crazy intense scene. So then to cut to I think this is the one before the dinner, and then it cuts to the dinner, and then when like the uncle says like, "Oh, the steak is like too hard."
Yeah.
Or like too what did he say?
It's something like that. It's like you can't chew it. He said you can't chew it.
You can't chew it. It's like, well, the steak sucks. And then like it just gave me this weird feeling, like the feeling of like, oh, we're in the real world now.
Yeah.
Like no one's gonna die over the steak. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but I also think what you were saying is true about.
I don't think it was after that scene though.
It was after an intense scene.
Okay, yeah.
It was after.
But I get your point though. Yeah.
Yeah, it was after some type of intense scene. But either way, I think it also draws a comparison between, like you were saying, since it cuts from like an intense scene of Fletcher like berating Andrew.
Yeah.
To the scene of the brother or the uncle.
Yeah, berating the
dad, or at least like dissing the dad or whatever.
Yeah.
So it kind of relates Andrew and the dad in that way. Like
like it's really small, but it's like, oh, I think it kind of speaks to Andrew's character. It's
I think it's very intentional.
They're very passive people.
I do think,
and again, I think that's another way Fletcher kind of easily, like he's easy to manipulate because he's so passive.
I think you are right about Fletcher. But I don't think it's like... I don't put it all on Fletcher, like what happens with Andrew. Mm-hmm. I don't put it all on Fletcher. But I do think you're right, because he definitely... He breaks up... Because he goes out of his way to ask the girl out. Mm-hmm. We haven't talked about beautiful Melissa Benoist.
Who?
That's her name.
Oh, is it? Oh,
She plays Supergirl.
Oh, yeah, she does, doesn't she?
She does.
Yeah.
But yeah, she... He goes out of his way to ask her out.
Yeah.
And then after kind of Fletcher gets his little dirty little nails into Andrew, he breaks up with her.
Yeah.
There's definitely different things that like change him about Fletcher, but I think there's some things that were the same before Fletcher.
Yeah, but I was going to say when he asked her out, I feel like it was after he got his first like kind of confidence boost by getting in the class, because it's pretty early on. Because you see earlier... Was
that after the folder?
No, it's not. It's after he first gets into the class.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Because you see early on in the movie, and he's very... Like, you see him looking at girls and stuff like that. It's a lot. There's a few times in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, like he doesn't, couples holding hands and stuff.
Yeah, and But yeah, it's like... he wants that, obviously. He's a lonely guy. And we see him interact with her earlier in the movie when he's seen the movie with his dad. And she mentioned to him too, like, oh, you're always kind of like whenever I saw you, you're always looking at the ground. So I think the point was like before that he was very shy.
Yeah.
And then so after you got that initial confidence boost, it's positive at first. He's like, okay, I'm in the class. Well, let me ask out the chick, and it works. Until like you said, shit kind of gets fucked up later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's interesting that there's a good amount of depth to the characters, you know?
Yeah.
Like Fletcher does change him, but not like everything in his life doesn't change because of Fletcher. It's just like there's kind of a shift.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a 1-to-1 like simple change.
Yeah.
It's like a pretty complex different type of things, and it's well done.
Yeah. Yeah, so like I was mentioning, it's positive at first, but then once Terrence kind of gets into his mind, it's like, oh, the only thing that should matter is the drumming, is the music. Then it's like, okay, well, what was even the point of the confidence boost? Because then we see later, she's not in the movie too much. We see like her in the movie theater twice, like at the beginning when he asks her out, and then they go on that date, which I kind of want to talk about too. Their date at the pizza place, yeah. And then we don't see her too much after, and then he breaks up with her because it's like, yeah, I think you're getting in the way of my career or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, like I know I mentioned them, but it's like an abusive relationship, seriously, because it's like, oh, you know how like people say like if you have like an abusive boyfriend or whatever, they kind of get you to like cut off family and things like that. Yeah, so that's exactly what
I was saying about like the cult leader.
Yeah, or when you join a cult, something like that.
It's like, oh, I don't have time for you. I have to do this cult stuff.
Yeah,
like, whatever. Yeah.
So it's like, it's like, it's really
he's a male manipulator.
Yeah.
Fletcher.
Fletcher is a male manipulator, but he it's not healthy at all.
No.
Let's say that. Yeah, it's I don't know. This movie, I don't know, how do I say this?
Spider-Man 2?
No, not Spider-Man 2. That point of view is just kind of, I don't want to say like they completely shit on Fletcher's point of view, but I feel like they definitely show that it's not positive. Yeah,
there's definitely, this reminds me, can I talk about something kind of cringe?
Okay.
It's kind of cringe, kind of deep cut.
Okay.
I think we've talked about this before, right? Like when you're like 5 and you're like scared to go to hell.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
I had this crazy anxiety where I would try and fathom what hell would be like. And that's like, it's like Fletcher, you know?
Yeah.
But in real life, that doesn't like motivate people. Like they're just like, I'm gonna go home. Like, fuck you.
Yeah.
There's definitely, like I said before, I think like the being hard on people works, and I think, you know, it has its place.
Yeah.
But you're teaching like a freshman teenager, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, you're not in the army, and I think even in the army, like, they don't, honestly, I don't think they even go that hard on people in the army. Like, Fletcher's going harder on these music students than I'm pretty sure, like, I haven't been in the army.
Yeah.
I've had family, though, in the army. They're pretty hard on you, but they're not, like, making you...
They don't throw a chair at your head.
Yeah, they don't make you, like, drum until you bleed, or, like, do push-ups until your fucking arms atrophy or whatever. Like, you know, you have to do, like, 100 push-ups, but you don't have to, like, do it until your arm breaks or whatever. Because that's just fucking literally detrimental.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
So it just reminds me of trying to imagine hell when I was a kid, like... You're putting, like, a hell amount of punishment on these people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, that kind of, like, unfathomable, like... What does that do to teach anyone anything?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Speaking of the blood, though, that's a big part of this movie. Just the injuries in general.
Yeah.
You see throughout the whole movie, his hands are always pretty much fucked up.
Yeah.
From practicing so much. And then, it's like... I feel like they kind of connect this with the car accident part. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like kind of like the most like explosive version of that.
I think that was definitely... I was a little...
Even though it's a literal thing that happens to him, I feel like it's kind of supposed to be like... He's like... Just like kind of showing an extreme version of how he's destroying himself just physically. You know what I mean?
Well, because there's the link between... Like, both are Fletcher's fault indirectly.
Yeah, uh-huh.
He makes his hand bleed indirectly because of Fletcher, because he, like, is forced to practice so much.
Yeah.
And then Fletcher's like, you're back in 5 minutes on my stage.
Yeah, so what happened was, like, his bus broke down when he's going to the show. And by this time, he's the core, so he's not, like... He's not going to be one of the alternates. Like, he's been chosen to play for the show. And, he shows up a few minutes, like, right before they go on stage. And because of that, Fletcher's like, no, fuck you, you're late. You're going to be an alternate. And he's like... And, you know, this is interesting. I feel like Andrew kind of adopts some of Terrence Fletcher's personality traits. Because you see, by that point, he starts becoming more of an asshole himself. Mm-hmm. He's like, no, fuck you. Or he said, fuck you to the guy who's going to play. And he straight up says, like, fuck you to Fletcher. He's like, no, fuck you, I'm going to play.
And the other drummer is the same way.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah, he's
a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And he's like, turn my fucking page. I was like, I hope Andrew puts a drumstick in your eye. You're a fucking idiot.
But you know what I mean? I feel like they take that from Fletcher, you know?
I think that's just another aspect of, like, oh, you're a toxic fucking... Like, It sounds cringy to say toxic, but yeah, he's like a toxic...
No, for sure.
Authority figure.
Yeah.
And he, like, rubs off... His like, horrible way of treating people rubs off on all his students.
Yeah.
Maybe not all of them, but...
And then, he was late, and then he also forgot... Which is also crazy. Just to get there, he rented a car. Just to make sure he would get on time. Which is also, like, that's fucking insane.
Yeah.
But he left the drumsticks at the rental place. So he's driving like 100 miles per hour, ignoring the fucking traffic and all that. And then on the way back, after he grabs the sticks, he gets a fucking truck runs into him. And he gets super fucked up. But what were you going to say, though? I apologize.
Yeah, so, no, thank you. Yeah, you explained the scene well. So basically, yeah, Miles Teller is, like, running himself ragged because he's late. He wants to make it on time. And he goes back, he forgot his drumsticks. Basically, Fletcher sets it up as, you're late, you're fucking not in the show.
Yeah, he says you're either going to be the alternate, or get your drumsticks and be here right on time, and be the core, and if you don't, you're getting kicked out of my class.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, okay, do I just sit there and be the alternate, or fucking risk it and try to... So he kind of eggs him on to risk it a little bit. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And definitely... There's, like, an underlying current of all this, like, Andrew's negative behavior being Fletcher's fault. Mm-hmm. So, and I think it does a great job of kind of, what's the word? Elevating the kind of conflict and the violence or whatever.
Yeah.
Because when Miles is driving, he's exhausted... And he's rushing, he's not paying attention, he gets slammed into by a semi-truck.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Fucking insane,
yeah. Which is fucking insane looking. So that was well done. Like,
yeah.
It was very intense. And then he pulls himself out of the truck, like, dying.
And the guy trying to stop him.
The guy who hits him, he's like, hey, wait. Like, wait for the police, like, for the ambulance. And Miles is like, it's just like 3 blocks.
Yeah.
And then he, like, he starts running, which is fucking crazy.
It is.
But it's the same kind of, it's the same demonstration of Fletcher wearing Andrew and his students out too thin.
Yeah,
because you should really push your students, but not, like, that hard.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's like I was saying, like, even the Army doesn't do that. Like, the Army won't fucking waterboard you. Well, maybe they do. But
well, they're gonna waterboard you if you're a political opponent. Let's say that.
Well, I mean, I feel like maybe they waterboard, like, their own people, like,
do they?
To get them, like, tolerant to it. Maybe I don't know. Anyway, I'm not talking about that. Like, basic training. Like, they don't do shit like that. Like, they don't make you get bloodied or battered. Like, and Fletcher knows he's putting him in that type of danger, at least on some level. Mm-hmm. He knows he's putting him in some type of danger. So definitely, I put that whole accent on Fletcher.
Yeah,
because ultimately, like, you should be like, no, like, you sit out for this show because you were late. Like, fuck you. like, that's hard enough.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be, like, a pussy and be like, oh, it's okay, Fletcher. Like, just use, like, this other guy's sticks and you can just go. Like, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
I probably would if I was a music teacher, but I'm not, I don't know. But if you're like, oh, I don't want to be a pussy. Like, just like, no, sit out. Like, for this show, like, you're not the guy.
Yeah, I think there's definitely... And it was funny because I showed you that video essay talking about Spider-Man 2 and this. I didn't watch it yet, but I kind of feel like I know what it's going to get at because we talked about this in the Spider-Man 2 episode. The balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Between passion and, your personal life, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, oh, he completely fudges that balance.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can see the similarity between that and Spider-Man 2. A lot of the movies we talk about, there's like an aspect of balance into it, because we talked about that last week with Day Trippers also. I guess balance just in general is not a bad lesson to apply to your life.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
That's true. But it definitely is interesting. It's like that Spider-Man 2 is honestly probably the closest comparison in terms of a moral.
Yeah.
That I can think of to Whiplash.
And it's funny, I wouldn't have I don't think that's something I would have just thought about myself, and then I saw that, I was like, oh, that's interesting.
I don't know if I would have thought of it myself, but when you sent me the video, I was like, I already know what this is. Like, I get it, yeah. Not that it's a bad video, but
I haven't seen it yet, so...
Yeah, not that it's a bad video.
It could be dog shit. But I'll assume it's not. I'll give you goodwill, whoever YouTuber, whoever.
Yeah, it's probably, but it's like seems founded on something, but yeah, very very interesting stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Can we go back to an earlier scene?
Sure.
Because there's something, and I saw there's a video about this too, but I did not watch it because when I was watching the movie, I wanted to talk about it.
Sure.
The folder.
Sure.
When he first becomes the core member.
Yeah.
Because he loses. Well, does he lose it? I don't know. We'll talk about it. The folder for the guy who is the core, the other dude who's also an asshole. I think his name is. I can't remember what it is.
I don't know.
It's like, who cares?
It's like Dimitri or some shit.
Dimitri. I forgot what it is, but. That guy.
Yeah, he's being a jerk to Fletcher, and he's basically telling him, like, hey, look at, like, keep my folder. Like,
to Fletcher? Oh, you mean to Andrew?
To Andrew. Yeah, like, the other drummer is like, you have to look after my folder.
Yeah.
Which is, like, not his responsibility.
Yeah, and it's at their, like, the first show we see Andrew with them playing.
Yes.
And he puts down the folder for a second on the chair to buy a soda. And he's, like, just listening to some guy talking about... I forgot what they were talking about exactly. Maybe that was important.
Shit.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't think it was important. They were just talking shit.
But then that dude shows up and he's like, hey, what happened to my folder? He's like, no, can I look at the folder? I want to see the music. And he's like, oh, yeah, it's right there. And then it's gone from the chair, obviously. And the dude flips out, and then they had to tell Fletcher about what happened. And Fletcher kind of like, whatever, he's like, well, you know the part, right? So you shouldn't even need... He tells him, actually, he doesn't even get pissed at Andrew. He's like, well, the folder was your responsibility. So you can't take it out on Andrew.
Yeah, and he does try and put the blame on Andrew.
Yeah.
The other student.
Yeah, and Terrence is like, oh, well, it was your responsibility, so you can't really blame him. And he's like, but you should know the part by heart already. And he's like, oh, no, I don't know it. And he says, I have a medical disorder or whatever. I don't know. I wonder if that was bullshit.
I feel like
it probably was.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
No, because he was like, I need a visual aid. You know, I need a visual aid, and he's like the most like Fletcher of like all the other students too. Like he's kind of he's the one we were saying earlier. There's like, you fucking idiot! Like turn my page.
Yeah,
like he's the like most jerk one of all of them. It's kind of funny because the third drummer, there's 3 drummers including Andrew.
Yeah,
and the other one is just like super nice.
No, he was a dick at first, wasn't he?
No.
I thought in the intro class he was a dick. I know, that was actually another student. He's like, man, we needed you because he's like, Newman ain't doing too great or whatever.
Yeah, I guess
it wasn't really him. Yeah, you're right.
No, because the redhead one, like the third drummer, he's the one that like is brought in last.
Yeah.
Where like Fletcher.
But you remember he's in the beginning.
Yes, he is. He is.
Yeah.
But he's like super nice the whole time.
Yeah. So you're right. He's not really. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that was another student in that class.
Yeah.
Because he tells him, "Oh, don't worry about it. That guy's just a dick."
Yeah.
He actually says that.
Yeah. He's like really nice.
Yeah.
And then when Fletcher brings in the third drummer, the one that's nice.
Yeah.
He kind of I feel it's funny because I feel like the red hair guy doesn't know at all what's going on.
Yeah.
Like he's just like, oh sweet, like he wants me to be in his class or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, I did a good job. Like, see you later, Andrew. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just funny because the whole movie is so tense, and you have this one character that's kind of like doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like, he's not in the whole like evil
part
of it. But anyways, sorry, we were talking about the folder.
Yeah. But actually, I want to talk about him in a minute. This might be a good segue to that.
Okay.
So yeah, the guy's like, oh, I don't know the part by heart, but Andrew does know it, and so he's able to play, and that's when he becomes the core member for Terrence's band. So the folder, what happened to it? It was only there for a minute. So what do you think happened to it?
I kind of think... Is there not a part where Fletcher mentions it later?
Does he?
Where I feel like there's a part where he's like, oh, a folder just happens to go fucking missing. Doesn't he say that?
I don't think so.
I might be wrong.
No, another student, I think... Oh, no, he does mention it later. He's like, he says, you're only there because the folder went missing.
I don't know if that implies that...
Well, can I say what I think?
Sure, go ahead.
I do think Fletcher took the folder.
Yeah.
And I think there's two reasons for that, I think.
Because he's a male manipulator.
Well, because he's a male manipulator, obviously. At first, I kind of tied it directly to Andrew. Like, he took it on purpose to maybe try and get Andrew... Or see if he knew the part.
Get Andrew to prove himself.
Yeah. But I also think it was because the guy kind of delegated his responsibility to Andrew.
Yeah.
And he didn't like that. So I think it was kind of a two-way thing. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
See, it's hard to say, like, oh, was he doing it because he wanted Andrew to get in the core band? I don't know. Or maybe it's just a way to see if either of them knew the part by heart.
Yeah.
And whichever one it was, that would be his preference. You know what I mean? And so that's probably most likely it.
Testing both of them.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah.
But it's kind of an evil way to do it, yeah.
He's a male manipulator.
Well, yeah, he's a male manipulator.
But it is funny the way... Like, there's very little humor in the movie. But it was kind of funny to me how quickly the folder is fucking gone.
Yeah, because all he does is get soda.
Because basically...
And he, like, turns around and listens to the guy talking, and then next thing you know...
Basically, he sets it down, Andrew. Andrew sets the folder down on a chair, puts a quarter in the soda machine. That's how you know it's not 2022, right? No, but he puts a quarter in the machine, gets a soda, takes a sip of the soda, and turns and, like, looks at these guys talking. And then the camera doesn't cut or anything.
Yeah.
And he, like, looks down at the chair, and it's gone. Like, it was, like, super fast.
Yeah, uh-huh.
So, immediately right away, you're like, well, someone took it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, oh, where did I put it? Like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone took it for a fact.
And so, what would you say it was most likely Fletcher?
I would guess it is, but my first thought was that Miles Teller... like put it behind the vending machine or something, but
you actually do see him put it on the chair.
You do,
though. Yeah,
you do. But the way the scene plays out, it doesn't seem like he did it. But I don't know. Like who would he be like looking at the chair, like no one moved it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like who was he doing that for? Just the audience. But I think I don't know. Maybe it would have been interesting if it was Andrew. But, yeah, I think it was Fletcher.
To fuck over the other guy?
Yeah.
No, I don't think that's what happened.
Me either.
Yeah, I think...
That was my first thought, though.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's also possible it really was just some random dude just grabbed it and took it.
Some random idiot.
Just
like, hey, look at this.
But I feel like that's definitely not what happened.
No. It was probably definitely Fletcher.
Yeah. I also did think, like, oh, what if that guy took it to try and fuck over Andrew? Like, he pretended...
That's possible, too.
Because you do see, like... He's kind of the only person you see or hear just kind of pop up for a second. Because he goes up to him, he's like, hey, I want to look at the music. Oh, it's not there. Yeah. So he went to Fletcher to be like, hey...
He lost my folder.
Yeah, exactly. And then it doesn't work out
like fucking Randall from Recess.
Yeah, I feel like that's also maybe a possibility.
It is an interesting mystery.
Yeah. And because I feel like at that point, though, he couldn't be like... Because I feel like someone could rebut and be like, oh, then why didn't he just be like, oh, never mind, I found the folder.
Yeah.
But I feel like... If he did do that, it wouldn't work out because by that point, Fletcher would have made up his mind and would have been like, well, no, fuck you, Andrew couldn't do it.
Yeah, because you already like
because that's how he is. We see him like that.
Like you said, he doesn't care that the folder's gone. He cares that.
Yeah.
Or he doesn't care who lost the folder.
Mm-hmm.
It was the other guy's responsibility.
Yeah.
So Andrew like has nothing to do with that. Plus, Andrew's the one that knows the music.
Yeah.
So, even if it was Andrew's folder, I think Andrew would have gone up anyway because he knows the fucking music. So.
Yeah.
But right before that too, they introduced the idea of him being like, "Who the fuck keeps leaving these folders on the ground and like shit like that?"
Yeah.
So it kind of sets up the idea that the folders are important, like in a kind of responsibility kind of way. Yeah.
Which also makes me think, okay, it was probably most definitely Fletcher.
Yeah. Yeah. So
but I did think about that about the other student as well. But if I had to guess, I would say it was definitely him who took it.
I guess, but yeah, and also the fact that he is characterized as a male manipulator.
Yeah.
He's, I think it was probably him.
The thing is, it just happened so quick.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, did he really, like, this man must have superpowers or some shit. He showed up, grabbed it, and then nobody saw him, not even the other dude.
He borrowed Spider-Man's web shooters.
He did. Yeah, that must be what happened.
He borrowed Batman's grappling hook.
Oh, yeah, he's also borrowed. There you go.
He borrowed Aang's airbending.
He did.
You know J.K. Simmons is in
is he?
Avatar?
Who the hell did he play?
He plays an air nomad in Korra, I think.
Oh, like he does the voice acting.
Yeah.
I thought you meant he's in like M. Night Shyamalan's live action.
No, that would be
Last
crazy.
Airbender. I was like, who the fuck was he?
That would be crazy.
But yeah, so talking about the folder though, I feel like that's a good way to talk about the other drummer guy, and when he brings him in, which is after Andrew gets the core part. So I feel like he brings him in to kind of test Andrew. Or at least, because I don't, like, to make him not get complacent. Because I feel like,
he says that later, too.
Yeah, once he gets the core part, it'd be easy to just be like, okay, I got this.
I got it.
Yeah. But he keeps him on his toes.
Yeah, he wants him to know that his role isn't secure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But he admits that later as well. And I don't think Fletcher ever really lies. Like, I do think he's a male manipulator, as stated. But even though he was pissed at Andrew at the end of the movie, I don't think he was lying. When he told him, like, oh, like, those other guys were just, like, to test you and...
No, I agree.
I think that's...
Agree
yeah. So that was epic.
Yeah, I think that's why that, like I mentioned, that the very beginning scene in the movie is important because, like, honestly, I don't know music, and also I don't know what Fletcher sees, but from the very beginning of the movie, you see that he kind of chooses Andrew. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a negative reinforcement from the beginning too. It's like that cult leader shit, like you were saying, like, because he wants him to think that he was disappointed when he really wasn't, and you don't even really fully understand. You don't fully understand that Fletcher was impressed by him in that first scene until like halfway through the movie, when he's like, oh, I found another impressive young man like practicing. Yeah, because he finds him practicing, walks out, and then seemingly like random, like quote unquote, like you were saying, that might have been intentional to go see Miles or test Miles. But he goes around the regular classrooms kind of like scouting and like testing people. So you think maybe like, oh, he proved himself here, not in the opening scene. But he did prove himself in the opening scene because Fletcher admits that later. Yeah. So it's like very manipulative. Because the first thing he does is set Andrew up to want his approval. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying?
No, I do, yeah.
Yeah, so huge male manipulator. Yeah, huge male manipulator.
Because like you said, he makes it seem like he's disappointed with him initially.
Yeah.
Because he just walks out, like you said, but obviously he wasn't.
And then, he literally admits to it later. Yeah. That he was not disappointed. He was impressed.
Damn, he's pretty evil.
Yeah, that's like super manipulative. And it's cool too, because you kind of have to pay attention to really get that. Yeah. Yeah. It's a really good movie.
It is. It is a good movie.
And there's even a joke in the beginning where Fletcher walks out disappointed like acting disappointed, I guess, or at least cold.
Yeah.
And out of the first scene where Miles is playing for him. And then there's a joke where he comes back in and you think maybe he's going to be like, I'll see you Monday.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh,
yeah,
I forgot my coat.
Exactly,
and
yeah.
then he walks back out.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's like teeing him up to want his approval like immediately.
Yeah, and he even tells his dad about that in the next scene at the movie theater.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I saw that guy whose attention I want, and it didn't go so well.
Beautiful movie theater.
Beautiful movie theater.
I would love to. That was a beautiful movie theater.
Well, New York.
Beautiful Supergirl.
New York
as well.
Beautiful Supergirl
at the counter.
New York has some nice movie theaters, don't they?
Beautiful movie theater. But Raisinets. Come on.
Oh yeah. Also, but I think that kind of also, on the point that he already knew who Terrence was, it kind of speaks to your point too about how. Did he want? Maybe part of him wanted that.
Yeah.
Because he was already looking for his approval before he even had met him for the first time.
Yeah.
He's already interested in him. So yeah, I think that kind of speaks to your point.
Yeah, because he says like, "Oh, you know who I am?" He's like, "Yes."
Yeah.
I think that kind of made me come around though on your point because I think you're more like you were more like, oh, like Fletcher corrupted him.
Yeah.
And then I was kind of on the other end of like, he was already
There's a
kind
two-way
of
street.
No. For me, when we started recording, I was like, oh, well, he like wanted it, but I think. Through talking, I'm like, oh, it was in the middle, definitely. Like, there's an aspect of both.
Yeah.
He definitely corrupts Andrew to a degree, but he also, like, wants to do that.
Yeah,
To a degree. Like, it's in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, and I think another really small detail, but, I don't want to say he's, like, pretentious, but when he goes on that first date, he kind of comes off as pretentious to her.
Yeah.
You remember the first date, because he's like, they're just sitting there listening to music. He's like, yeah, this is blah, blah, blah with whoever playing. And yeah, I chose, he's like, yeah, this school was the best music school in the country.
I really like that scene too because...
And she's like, I just went to this school because that's just where they accepted me. So if you, like, I don't know if it is necessarily what he's doing, but it feels to her like he's kind of like talking down to her.
Yeah. He's negging her like Fletcher.
Yeah.
But I do think he's like, even before Fletcher, I think he thought very highly of himself.
Yeah, so that's certainly possibly part of it.
I think so, but I really like, outside of the whole, like, story and theme of it, I really like that scene, because I don't know how many times I've seen, like, a movie have a scene like that where there's kind of like a back and forth where like everything he's saying isn't a hit. Like he's not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
it feels like a real first date.
It feels like a real like trying to get to know each other.
Yeah.
Because they both clearly like don't have the same feelings about their school. And like what they're doing. And that comes back up later, I guess. But
yeah,
it's interesting because they still. Even though they don't kind of agree on that, they still kind of hit it off, I guess. Like, they still have a good time.
Yeah, because I forgot... Oh, yeah, because they start talking about, like, the people at their school. And they're like, yeah, these people are dicks. And that's kind of how they come around. And about their families, too.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how they end up coming around to each other.
Yeah, so that was... Yeah. That was really interesting.
Yeah, and that does feel real. And there's also... I don't even want to say this, but it's, like, kind of cringy. But I kind of say, like... There's a part when he's talking about the jazz musicians who's playing... And it kind of comes off as a little bit snobby. It reminded me of myself a little bit because I feel like I do that sometimes. When it's like I feel like I think it's impressive, but it's not necessarily. Like if I'm with somebody and like I hear like a really good song, I'm like, yeah, this is so and so. Or if I'm talking about a movie, I was like, yeah, this is that, and it's directed by blah blah blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I like.
And the way she kind of like...
It can come off as snobby, and like I never mean it to. I don't think he meant it to either, but that's the way it can be perceived by other people.
Yeah.
And I feel like the movie does a really good job of showing that. Yeah,
I know what you mean. It's like... He's not like a one-dimensional, like, Ratatouille critic character, but... It's just like he lives in it, so that's just what he talks about.
Yeah.
You know?
And exactly, and I feel like I can relate to that at times, and then it can come off to, you know, kind of douchey to people who aren't as interested in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Even though it's well-meaning.
That's why for me, when I'm with like normies, like lack of a better word, I dial it way back.
That's what I mean. Sometimes I lack that filter.
I have a good filter on that type of stuff. Like if someone's like, "Oh, did you like the new Thor?" and I know they're just like excited to see an MCU movie and they don't give a fuck and they see like one movie a year, I'm like, yeah, man, like it was
exactly. Yeah, that I can lack that filter sometimes.
It was alright.
Yeah, so.
I'll say like, oh, I don't think it was like probably the worst Thor to me. Yeah. I'll probably say something like that.
Yeah,
but I won't like shit on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I agree with you. That's actually a really, really good scene, and it's
very realistic.
Yeah,
and I like the way that they still come around to each other, and
yeah, and it's also like kind of awkward too. It is a really good first date scene. Yeah, I feel like, and like you said, it's not they don't always capture that like the negatives of it, because even though it like in the long run, the first date went well and they come around to each other, it's not always like perfect. And I feel like at times a lot of movies miss that.
Yeah, like it's literally
that's part of getting to know each other.
Yeah,
like you said. Yeah,
like sometimes it's kind of, it reminds me of that joke people say where it's like, oh, when you accidentally use personality 3 with group friend, like friend group 6, like that type of thing. Like you're different around different people, and you gotta, even if you do wind up really liking somebody, there's certain things that you kind of have to, you know. There's certain things you got to play down or play up, or you know, you relate on certain things, you don't relate on certain things. You're not gonna talk shit on music all the time with this girl because you know that's not what she's into.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, but yeah, their breakup scene, God, that scene makes me cringe hard as fuck.
Yeah.
Because the ending of it. So, well, he's like, I'm sorry,
we should say first, since we just talked about their first date, I guess. The movie doesn't go super in depth about their relationship.
No,
it's implied like shit goes well. They're still talking. Like they keep talking, and then eventually he gets really serious about the drumming, which he kind of already was. But you get the point.
Yeah,
like he gets more serious because of Fletcher.
Yeah,
and then he winds up and takes her out to a diner, and then
yeah, he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't be with you because of my career or whatever. And she's like, I would be in the way of that. He's like, yeah, pretty much. Like, he says it, like, so bluntly. This is what makes me cringe. And she's like, and yeah, I forgot exactly what she said, but she said something that's, like, super demeaning to herself. And he's like, yeah, pretty much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she says something.
It's about her school. He's like, you go to this great school. I'm just kind of like this... whatever, who go to...
Like, I'm an idiot with no direction and whatever. And he's like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. I was like, Jesus Christ. And that was like... Can you really blame Fletcher for that?
No.
No, yeah.
No, I think you can blame Fletcher for sure for, like, the... Like the crazy, brutally damaging his hands and the car crash.
Yeah.
And, of course, like, throwing shit at him. Mm-hmm. But the breakup thing, that's completely on Andrew.
Yeah.
That's I mean, maybe not completely. It's on Andrew.
I mean, the way he handled it, because that was so horrible.
Ultimately, that is on him.
Yeah.
Yes. I think in a general sense, like, encouraging someone to, like, make one thing the priority of their entire life is negative.
Yeah.
But, like you're saying, the way he handled that was on him.
Yeah. And she even says in that scene, she's like, oh, like, we barely see each other anyways, so, and, like, I'm really getting in the way that much, even to the point, like, we're already barely seeing each other because you focus so much on the drumming. And he's like, yeah. He's like, yep, we can't do this. Yeah, that was fucked up. So he's pretty much an asshole for that.
And the whole scene, he plays it, like, so, like, sure of himself.
Yeah.
And he's doing it like it's, like, a chore.
Yeah.
Like, he's breaking up with her like it's a chore. He's like, well, I have these perfect reasons for breaking up with you, so I'm just going to lay them out.
Yeah.
And here it is. Yeah, what an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, he loses that.
He sure does.
And he thinks it's for the better, but ultimately, Dylan, we see it is not.
No.
So, I guess, so after that happens...
Oh, can I say one thing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
One more thing. So we're going to probably get to beautiful Melissa Benoist's character
again
one more time
she comes back
later.
Yeah.
But I wanted to mention...
And that's a really good scene, too, I just want to say. But
that is too, yes. But
every scene.
Every scene of painting.
Yeah, every scene of painting. Every line of dialogue, poetry.
It is a great movie, though. Yes. Yeah. But I didn't know this was a good movie. I did know this was a good movie, but I didn't know what was going to happen. Mm-hmm. So I texted the group chat, me, you, and Andy, our group chat. For those of you that don't know, RNS Podcast, friend of the show, Andy Mays.
Of course.
So sorry for doxing you, but yeah, Andy. I sent to you and Andy like, oh, like, is he going to be mean to the girl like Fletcher? That would have been so bad.
Well, he kind of was,
but not really.
Not like he wasn't like "fuck you."
Yeah,
like,
I thought it was gonna be like Marriage Story,
where
I thought he was gonna be screaming at her like, "Don't you understand how much this matters, bitch?" Like I thought, and like throwing stuff at her or something.
Yeah.
And I thought she was gonna be like, what's happening?
Maybe if they were more serious, maybe. Because you see, like, they're not really in a relationship; they're just kind of dating.
They're dating.
So maybe if it was a more serious thing, I don't know.
But I think the way they played it was way better.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the way they played it was way better.
I agree.
Because that would have been just so like on the nose and cliche. But he has like the negative influence. It's not like one dimensional.
Yeah.
It like affects him in a way that like him as a person would act on it. He's just not like copying Fletcher 1-to-1. It's just like kind of shifting his mindset, and then he's still acting how he would.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's good writing.
I agree. It's very real. But yeah, after talking about that though, I want to talk about him actually getting, because we talked about the truck thing, him getting run over, but we didn't talk about kind of like what ultimately happens with that.
Yeah, that's crazy part.
And so he shows up, like you said. He runs from after getting hit by a fucking truck, and he's all bloody. He
runs the rest of the
bloodied and fucking bruised. Maybe some things are broken. Who knows?
Yeah, bleeding from his head and shit.
And his hand is. I know his hand is like super fucked up because he can barely hold one of the drumsticks.
Yeah,
because he keeps dropping it. You remember?
Yeah.
So he tries to play even though he's all fucked up, and Terrence is like, "Yeah, Neiman, you're done. And then he flips the fuck out. He actually like physically attacks.
So basically, Fletcher.
I thought the scene was funny.
Fletcher instructs the band to stop playing.
Yeah.
And then he turns to the audience and starts to apologize.
Yeah.
And then Andrew just fucking tackles him.
Yeah.
And
does he say "fuck you, Fletcher"?
Yeah, something like that. I think so.
He says "fuck you, Fletcher." He runs and tackles him.
One thing I really liked about that part though is because, like I said, I had this whole like. Just how intense Fletcher is, it always feels like he's gonna fucking hit someone. Mm-hmm. But he never does.
Yeah.
And then that kind of like physical, like violent release comes from Andrew.
Yeah.
So
that's an interesting point you're on, how it always feels like he'll be violent, but he never does. But then Andrew actually does end up being violent. That's a good observation, Dylan.
Even though thank you.
Yeah, no, it's genuinely.
Even though Fletcher is like a huge asshole, he's doing it all with like a certain amount of restraint.
He's a professional asshole, whereas Andrew is not.
And then, once you pump like a professional asshole into a normal person, they just become like a real asshole. Even though Fletcher is a real asshole, but you get what I'm saying.
He's a professional asshole, though.
You get what I'm saying.
This is a newbie asshole. No, I know exactly what you're saying. I think we agree. Yeah.
Even if you're like not actually like hurting people, you're still rubbing off on people, and like
you said, you finally get that violent release that you always think is gonna happen, except it comes from Andrew.
Yeah.
To just back to the breakup thing and this, it's just I feel like this is another example of how it kind of ends up, because he doesn't realize it here, but here you definitely get the idea. It's like, okay, all of this has kind of been extremely negative, because you lose that relationship. You thought it was a positive, but we see towards the end it's like, he kind of wants her back. And then he gets kicked out of the school for attacking Fletcher. So it's like, this extreme passion. Well, what has it left you with? You don't have the relationship anymore, and you got kicked out of that great school you were bragging about. You know what I mean?
That I think you barely got into.
Yeah,
was the implication.
So it's like, okay, well, has it been worth it? All this bullshit. I guess no.
I suppose not.
No. And going off that, I guess we can finally start talking about the ending of the movie.
Yeah.
Or at least the final act, I guess.
Wait, so
Well, we should talk about what Fletcher loses, because that kind of directly comes after he gets...
Yeah, right after. So, yeah. Fletcher, I think after causing... Wait, what is he... I guess they kind of find out about Fletcher's behavior through... Or, no,
Well,
wait.
another student had committed suicide. Well, a former student. And he was upset about it, because he was like, yeah, there was this great player.
I think what it was is that they kind of like... the school didn't like
And
Fletcher.
this is really important, by the way, I think, for the ending. But, sorry, no, about the suicide thing. Yeah, but continue, sorry.
I think what it was... I might be missing something. I think what it was is that the school for a while had known about Fletcher being like an asshole.
Yeah.
And they kind of were like building kind of like a case against him to get him out of the school. And then they saw Andrew as an opportunity to actually like take action against him.
Well, the suicide had literally just happened before that. That student had committed suicide.
Oh,
or
right.
former student, I should say.
Right, yeah.
But continue, sorry.
No, yeah, I think after all that shit that happened and the suicide, I thought he said that I guess the student was his student 6 years ago.
Yeah. And he said, he went on to become a great player or whatever. But he committed suicide. And then it's like, the school, they're kind of implying that all that anxiety and depression he had about the drumming. I think he was also a drummer, right? The other player. He might not have been.
No, he wasn't. Because he played the music for them. And it was like saxophone or whatever.
Yeah. So, my mind just keeps going back to drumming because obviously that's the big thing in this movie. But he actually teaches a whole class of players. But yeah, so it's like saxophone or something.
I guess he probably like every once in a while chooses someone to try and mold into like a great player. Yeah. And right now it's a drummer.
Yeah.
But back then I guess it was
that's
like a trumpet player or something.
Yeah. But the school is kind of like implying like, that anxiety and depression he has about it had stemmed from Fletcher.
Yeah, because they ask Andrew, like, did he put mental distress on you?
Yeah.
Did he knowingly put emotional distress on you?
And at first he's kind of being, like, resistant to it. Kind of be like, no. And that also reminds me of, like, a toxic relationship, too. It's like...
Or, like, a cult.
Yeah. Or a cult, yeah.
I go to cult, but...
No,
same thing.
But his dad ultimately kind of gets into...
Yeah, because
his dad's like, no, he's like, do you see what he's done to you?
Like, he's like...
His dad is nice, by the way.
He's a good dad.
He's a good dad.
He's a good dad.
But I feel like Andrew kind of has this fear of ending up like his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And that's what early on Fletcher plays on that.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But his dad's a good guy.
Yeah, he is a good guy. But I'm just saying, it's like, I think in his eyes, and Fletcher kind of helps reinforce it. It's like his dad is kind of a failure. Because he was a writer, but all he ended up with as is just a high school teacher. You know what I mean? He doesn't want to be a drum player who ends up teaching music class at an elementary school. You know what I mean? He wants to be a great player.
Wait, did we even finish talking about the dinner scene?
I
don't think we did.
I don't know.
Right?
Well, what else did you want to mention about it?
Because we set it up, didn't we? We didn't talk about it.
Do you want to talk about it now?
Yeah, because it's like him and his uncle and his dad, like speaking to his dad being like a failure. And they're kind of...
we did mention about how it's like, you see them kind of walking all over in dad, and that kind of speaks to Andrew's personality as well.
Yeah. But I don't think we really got into what
Andrew
says.
No, we didn't, yeah.
Basically, Andrew is kind of pissed. He's kind of pissed that his...
they don't take the drumming that serious.
His cousins are being praised, like, super heavily for being, like, third-rate football players. Yeah. But, he's, like, the top of his class, and no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
So he tries to explain it in, like, a really asshole-type way. I didn't really think about... That is pretty consistent through the whole movie of him not wanting to be like his dad.
Yeah.
But he still kind of has a good relationship with his dad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I guess, did we even talk about what's cringy in that?
Yeah.
Like, the way he's just, like, so pretentious about it. I mean, like, your family are assholes, but, like, dude, he should just be like, yeah, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? That would be the reasonable thing. Be like, okay, yeah, You don't give a shit about what I'm doing, but what should it matter to you? You know what I mean?
Another one thing I did want to mention about that scene that I like so much, it reminds me of the first date scene.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so real. Like, where you're trying to explain, like, why you're happy about something.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, oh, I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Like, and then they just move on. They're like, oh, what about my son? My son is he's going to work at the steel mill. Like, how about that?
Yeah. He's
Like,
going to work at the steel mill.
And yeah, realistically, you should just be like, oh, well, you know, I'm happy. I'm doing well in my school. But Andrew has to go crazy about it. But.
And that's the scene also where you mentioned that he doesn't have any friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he doesn't care.
Yeah.
That scene is so crazy.
It is. God, really good movie for real.
Great movie.
Really good movie.
Great movie.
So Fletcher ends up getting fired because, just to go back to what we were talking about before that, because Andrew agrees to like sign the thing or whatever against Terrence. Fletcher.
Also
I keep calling him Fletcher or Terrence. Terrence Fletcher.
Terrence Fletcher. Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard.
Terrence Fletcher.
Terrence Howard, my favorite roadie.
Number one roadie of all time. But they do mention too that they won't.
It'll be anonymous.
It'll be anonymous.
Yeah.
They won't say who it was.
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
Yeah.
And then what happens after that? He puts his drumming stuff away.
Yeah, and it's like you just see him working like some shitty job. It's like some deli shop he's working at.
Yeah.
And I think he got a new apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's another little moment, but when you see him going to his apartment, and Dad's like, "I stocked it up with Gushers." You don't remember?
Yeah, I do.
It's like, I mean, it's nothing major, but I feel like it's treating him like a little kid. I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like he takes very well to it when his dad says that. He's like, "Yeah, thanks."
No, yeah, I remember exactly what he says.
Yeah.
Because the door is half open.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, I saw."
Oh, yeah.
And then he's like closing the door, and like as the door is like closing, he's like, "Thanks."
Yeah.
So yeah, there's something about that moment too that stuck out to me as well.
I was gonna say, you know, that part reminded me so much of me and my dad. Like seriously,
really?
Yeah.
That hurts.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, that hurts.
Anyways, what were you gonna say that stuck out to you about that?
I was just waiting for him to say thank you.
Oh, yeah.
And because the way his dad says it is like kind of like a playful way.
Yeah.
Like he's like, "Oh, I stocked it up." Like, you know, like he's just like a silly white dad, you know?
Yeah.
And then the way Miles is just like, "I saw." And then the way he's like, "Oh, yeah, thanks." Like, it kind of was like an afterthought, and I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels like Miles is like pissed in the back of his head.
Yeah.
Like he's like... Deep down, he's like pissed in the moment.
Yeah,
he's like, about something else, not about his dad, but there's like an underlying discomfort or something.
I agree. And then you see Fletcher again. Because he's like playing at like a jazz club or something.
Yeah.
You know, classic New York stuff, Spider-Man 3.
Wait, is this...
They could be having jazz clubs.
The whole movie's good up to this point, but this gets really good.
Oh, this part gets really good for you.
This gets really good.
Okay, do you want to take it away then?
Well... I mean, like, just, like, the movie from here.
Oh, yeah.
Gets really good.
Yeah.
But this scene...
for me, I think it's, like, all consistently great.
No,
personally, but I agree, but the ending is great, but it's, like, consistently great.
I just think there's a bit more, towards the end of the movie, they do a good job of setting up a bit more intrigue.
I guess so, yeah.
And a bit more of a back and forth.
Yeah, I agree.
Because the first part of the movie is more of, like, character and, like, torment.
Yeah.
And then there's a bit of, like, a good back and forth... Death Note type of back and forth.
Yeah, because
at the end,
I think it's because at that point it's like, well, they both got kicked out.
They're both equals.
Yeah, they got kicked out of the school.
Yeah,
they're both just kind of musicians for hire, I guess.
And
well, I guess no, I think Fletcher I guess he is well respected because you see at the Jazz Club it's a special guest.
He downplays it.
Well, what do you
Fletcher downplays it at first.
Okay.
Because Miles is like, or Andrew, excuse me. Mm-hmm. He's like, "Oh, what are you up to?" Yeah. He's like, "I'm doing like blah blah blah, like some impressive shit." And then he's like, "Oh wow, good for you." And he's
like,
yeah,
for the he's like leading.
And Fletcher's like, "Yeah, it's a job." Like,
yeah,
but it's like a pretty prestigious job still. Uh-huh. And later that's like a point of contention, or not contention, but that's a point of conflict or something, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
because
it matters.
Everybody who's like in the know for that music world is going to be there watching.
Yeah.
So maybe he does downplay it intentionally.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
So he's like, Andrew, our drummer is not cutting it. We have an open part. And he's like, oh, so he kind of lures him back into them. And at that point...
they also kind of bond in that scene over just, like, the craft.
Yeah, because that's when you mentioned this earlier, he starts telling him, like, yeah, there's none of these great jazz players anymore, and nobody pushes people anymore. It's like everything's very soft.
This is kind of the moment where Fletcher gets to explain his ideology towards, like, teaching.
Yeah. And he at this point, well, he doesn't, spoiler alert, he does know, but he plays it off like he doesn't know that it was Andrew who got him fired from the job. Yeah. So they're just kind of bonding. And it's funny when he's watching Terrence in... I keep calling him Terrence or Fletcher, the same person, obviously, but I prefer alternating. Fletcher. Yeah, me too. When he's watching Fletcher play on the piano... and then he turns and sees Andrew, and he makes a face when he sees him, and then Andrew immediately turns around and like walks out. And this is kind of like the folder scene. Somehow he's immediately behind him when he starts walking. He's like, Andrew. He's like, hey, what are you doing here? I thought that was funny.
He has a supernatural quality to him.
Yeah, and so they like eat together or whatever, and like I say, he kind of explains his ideology, and then he tells him about the open spot. To play drums, and he tells them, yeah, we're doing the same pieces we were doing in school, Whiplash, and I forgot what the other one was called. So Andrew, he busts out the drum set, and he starts practicing once again to play for Fletcher.
He sure does.
And yeah, before the show, though, do you want to talk about this? He calls up.
He calls Supergirl.
Yeah, he calls Supergirl.
Beautiful Melissa Benoist.
And it does not go well.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
She plays that scene really well, too.
Yeah, I agree.
I've had that conversation before. She played it really well.
Well, haven't we all?
Yeah.
He calls her, he's like, yeah, I'm doing the show. Do you want to come see it? And he apologizes. He's like, yeah, I'm sorry how things went between us. And she's like, yeah, maybe, I don't know, I might be busy. I had to ask my boyfriend.
Uh-oh.
He's like, oh. And, he's like, oh yeah. Obviously, you kind of see he's like kind of crushed by that.
Yeah.
But he's like, yeah, if you guys can, you should come by. I want to see you.
And Miles plays it really well too.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I guess there is kind of like a disappointment in his voice a little bit.
Yeah.
But
you see it more in his face.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. He plays it super real.
Yeah.
Because there's like way worse movies and TV shows I've seen where someone's like. Not even like played for comedy, like played for drama.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, like that sounds good, I get. Like, no one plays it off like that.
Yeah.
They play it off like, the way he plays it off is so real.
I agree.
Yeah,
it was great. It was good. It was really good.
Thank you, Miles.
Thank you, Mom Teller, yeah. And it's like, obviously we don't know because we don't see her again. They just have that phone conversation. But it's like, did she even have a boyfriend? We don't know for sure.
Oh.
But it's like, she wants nothing to do with him.
Yeah.
Why would she? He's a fucking asshole.
That part is so heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my goodness.
It is. And right from there, you just see him go to the show. I'm surprised when he first goes up like to sit down and start drumming with the rest of the band. I was wondering like, isn't Dad there? Like, because I feel like Dad would be totally opposed to this. Like,
because Fletcher, right?
Yeah. And we see later his dad is there. So I was like, what the fuck? How do you get him dad?
Maybe he didn't tell him.
He might not have told him that. Yeah.
It was Fletcher?
Yeah.
Maybe just like, I just got to.
I was wondering that when it begins. I was like, I wonder, like, did he just come by himself? Did he tell his dad about it? But no, he must have because his dad is there later. And Fletcher gets his revenge. I thought this was really
fucking
yeah, this was great.
So good. So
So he starts seeing Fletcher like says, yeah, we're gonna play whatever the piece is called, and he looks at the notes that other people have, like the charts or whatever you call
basically
it. Fletcher
gets up on stage like to like start the band.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, tonight we're gonna play not the fucking songs I told Andrew that we were gonna play. Yeah, and then he goes to confirm with the sheets music, and the sheet music is the wrong sheet music.
He had the ones from the school, Whiplash, and he doesn't have these other pieces.
Yeah,
and he walks up to him and he says, "I know." He's like, "You think I'm stupid? I know it was you."
You think I'm fucking stupid? I know it was you. And then he just turns around and he's like, and then they just start the show.
Yeah.
And Andrew does fucking awful.
Yeah. And he just walks out, and you see a dad, like, rush to, like, comfort him or whatever. So I was like, oh, and dad was there. But I like this part.
Great.
He obviously comes back out, and he just... He kind of takes charge and starts playing the fucking pieces he does know.
Yeah, Fletcher's going to announce, like, a new song that they're going to play, and then Andrew interrupts him with his drum playing, and then... So Andrew kind of just decides to take control of the situation using his instrument.
Yeah.
And then he says to the like one of the string players, like, I'll cue you in.
Yeah. And this was really good. This whole scene is, like, so good, yeah. Like, the editing, the music itself, obviously, like, how it looks, how it's shot, it's like, oh, it's great. And I like how Fletcher kind of goes with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that went great. Because at first he's kind of like, what the fuck are you doing? But then he sees, like, I guess he sees the passion from Andrew. And he ends up going with it. And he starts conducting the rest of the band. And then once they finish the song, he keeps playing the fucking drums.
Yeah, he doesn't let them, like, regroup.
Yeah,
like, he keeps going.
And you see, Fletcher, he takes off the jacket. And and you know what else? It's like, he's, like, hitting the cymbal so hard, it, like, falls. And Fletcher comes and picks it up.
And fixes it for him.
Yeah. I thought that was really good.
Yeah. Because you can, like, it kind of conveys, like, over the course of the scene that Fletcher's completely won over now.
Yeah. Great scene.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing scene.
And he's, like, just busting this, like, amazing drum solo or whatever. And the rest of the band, like, finally joins at the end. And the movie just kind of ends with, like... No, right before the rest of the band comes in, like, Andrew and Fletcher, they, like, look at each other. And you don't really see... You only see their eyes, but it looks like they're probably, like, smiling. And then the rest of the band plays, and then that's how the movie ends. And, yeah, so it's kind of, like... played up like, a triumphant ending. You know what I mean? He's very happy. He finally got Fletcher's approval. He finally a great drum player. But is it really happy?
No.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I think this is the main thing that I've been excited to talk about too.
Yeah.
Just that question of like, is it worth it? I guess for some people it is.
I guess so, yeah.
I get it, because it's like,
oh yeah.
Do I want to have sex with animals? No. Do some people want to do that? I guess, because some people do it.
Yeah.
It's like I can't relate. Like I couldn't like.
That was a very good comparison. Thank you.
Well, I'm saying. Some people.
At first I was like, what do you mean by this?
Some people are attracted to certain things that you can't understand.
Yeah.
And I think. Included in that would be like devoting your entire life to something. I couldn't see myself doing it, but if that's what is good for you, if that's what makes you happy, I don't know if that's a bad thing. I don't know.
So yeah, okay. So like, it played up as triumphant, but it ultimately I don't think it's negative either. I think it's ambiguous as to is it good or bad? I don't know because
it's a good test on like which are you?
Yeah,
like,
I guess so. Yeah,
what kind of person are you?
They both seem happy at the end. But like you say, it was like, at what cost?
Yeah.
Because now he doesn't have the school. He doesn't have the girl.
He clearly regrets the girl thing.
Yeah.
That's the main...
His family thinks he's an asshole.
His family does think he's an asshole. And his dad is probably, like, worried. Like, just straight up, like, normal worried.
Yeah.
And you mentioned this, too. Did the audience even like that? Probably not.
Yeah, because they're like, it was just like...
Like, Fletcher did.
Yeah.
For sure. The band probably fucking hated
it. Well, it does kind of like... They're kind of vibing with it, like, when they end up
maybe some of them were kind of cool with it, but ultimately, they, like... I think just the way that the scene is set up...
It must be annoying that you have to all of a sudden just innovate for this one dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, because they're all trying... Like, they were all, like, prepped... ready, practiced for specific songs, and then Fletcher like turns it into like a jazz jam session when it's like we're out here trying to impress specific people.
Yeah.
And then you turn into like what the fuck? Like I'm sure some of them are fucking pissed at him. And then
the audience is like they probably paid for one thing. They wanted to hear like a classical jazz type thing, and then they end up getting like this completely off kilter performance.
This kid basically like taking over the thing.
That was like heavily focused on the drums.
Yeah.
So that's also an aspect. It like he gets Fletcher's approval there as like, oh, you're a great drummer.
That's
but
really
it's like,
all he got.
Yeah, it's like will this even ultimately help you with your career? Probably not, because you probably made yourself look like a dick in front of like these important people who are might like sign you or whatever.
And your peers.
Yeah, and your peers. Yeah. So is that good? Probably not.
No. Yeah. And I think that is one thing that kind of points to it being a negative ending. Is if you think about the repercussions.
Yeah, the repercussions of it.
Because his dad would not be happy about it, his peers and the audience, and plus, kind of the one interest he has, right? Like, not to call a woman an interest, but the one thing he kind of pursues in the movie is
outside of drumming
is like the girlfriend.
Yeah,
and he completely loses her as a result. So So at first he wants a girlfriend, and then he's like, no, I have to focus on drumming only, and then he regrets it.
Yeah.
And he wants to start a relationship up with her again, and she clearly has no interest in him. Like you said, maybe she doesn't even have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
But she's completely done with that shit. And then maybe that experience with Fletcher that he had, is he doubling down now? So maybe I would argue, I guess, that it leans more towards a negative ending, but I think you can still interpret it either way.
Yeah, it's just it's happy in that you got in a plot way. Where it's he finally made Fletcher.
Yeah.
He finally got Fletcher's full approval, and he finally played an amazing drum solo. But then when you think about the larger repercussions of it, it's was this good? Was it worth it? Probably not.
It reminds me of there's the whole in writing the want or also screenwriting and filmmaking the whole want or storytelling in general want versus need. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Luke wants to leave his planet, but his need, I guess, is to learn the Force or whatever the fuck. I don't know.
I get what you're getting at.
Yeah. There's a difference.
Yeah,
and I think this movie kind of questions. His want is to be the greatest drummer of all time, and then it kind of questions his needs.
Yeah,
as not as a character, but as a normal human being.
Yeah, well,
you know what I mean.
Back to that Letterboxd synopsis. What did it say? What did it say? He pursued perfection at any cost, even his humanity. So there you go.
Yeah. Dylan's a genius, right?
Yeah, you are.
What are you saying?
And also, so like I said, the suicide thing was important. God bless you.
Excuse me, thank you.
Because they mentioned that, that guy who Fletcher was super tough on, and he's also a bit like Andrew, because I think Fletcher mentions earlier, this was a guy I forgot how he worded it, but basically he was kind of another extremely passive person. Kind of like Andrew. And,
he was, I think he said, he wasn't that technically talented, but he really wanted it.
Yeah.
I think it was like that, right?
Yeah, and Fletcher mentions, well, he doesn't admit that he was tough on this guy, but we find out later that he was also extremely tough on the kid. But he does mention that he went on to become and he also, when Fletcher's telling you, he doesn't tell them that he committed suicide. He just said, he passed away. Yeah. But he says he went on to become a great player. He played for so-and-so. I don't know these orchestras or bands, whatever. But he went on to play for a really prestigious band. But he still committed suicide. So it's who knows? Even though Andrew, even if he does become a great player, that mental trauma that Fletcher left on him could just be so bad that maybe he will drive himself to what that guy did.
Or do something terrible in general.
Yeah. Because so that guy he got what he wanted. He became a great player. He got on the band or whatever, but he still wasn't happy.
Yeah.
Because of all the trauma that he had to go through to even get there.
Yeah, it's if you think about it like this, given the choice.
Yeah.
In some type of where God pulls you out of time and space and says do you want to be do you want to have a terrible life? Or be, wait, let me rephrase that. Yeah, he God pulls you out of time and space and gives you a choice, right? Do you want to be deeply depressed and abused and be a great player or have a good life and not be a player.
Yeah.
I think most people would choose,
have a good life.
Have a good life. Yeah. But life doesn't work like that. You know? Like it's so that's what makes it kind of interesting about Fletcher.
Yeah.
It's because even though he's evil, in a way, he still has that kind of like these people still have a choice, but they're also kind of fed through the system.
Yeah.
So that kind of they also don't have much of a choice.
Yeah.
No,
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's complex, Evan.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like I feel like honestly, like after all that shit, like getting hit by the fucking truck and everything he had to go to, like he might have like fucking PTSD. For all we know, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and maybe once it kind of like the high of continuing to push himself on the drums and shit. Maybe after that high works, like
he's gonna crash.
Works off, he'll crash. Yeah.
So it's like we don't see. Of course, we don't know what's gonna happen after the movie ends, but it's like it's something to think about.
Yeah, and that's what that's some great storytelling.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Isn't it, Evan?
Yeah.
Gives you a bit to think about.
Gives you a lot to think about.
Oh.
So yeah,
can I ask you a
Andrew
question?
Neiman, in 10 years from now, he died of alcoholism and depression.
I think he became...
The movie's almost 10 years old, so, he's only got a few years left.
Oh, shit. I think he lives until he's 90.
Oh, there you go.
And he tells his grandkids about the greatest music
year
teacher
of his
ever
life.
lived. Yeah.
Honestly, like, another thing I'm curious about, like, after that night, what is him and Fletcher's relationship like? I'm very curious.
Yeah, because then it feels even more like grooming.
Yeah.
Even though they're both adults.
Yeah.
But like they were saying, like now it's not even like in a school setting where he's like priming him to be a great student. Like it's just like two guys.
Yeah.
Two guys playing the drums.
But yeah, we don't know. But I think most likely, largely, the repercussions of everything were negative. Yes. If I had to guess, yeah.
I would agree. I'd have to agree with that.
So that's Whiplash. Great movie. It's really fucking good.
It is really clever too. How like the normal like you were saying in a plot way, it's like mathematically designed to be a satisfying ending. But underneath it, like it's like very
dark.
Very dark. Yes, exactly. That's a great way to put it. So yeah. Whiplash. Evan, can I ask you something?
And it's back to the Spider-Man 2 thing. That comparison, that young gentleman, I don't even know if it's a man or woman. That young gentleman who made that video essay that I haven't seen yet.
Beautiful in a gender neutral way, video essayist.
Spider-Man 2 has an ending that's like that too, where it's like played up to be very happy, and then it's like, oh, you think about the repercussions of it.
Then you sit on it for a second. Yeah.
It does play it a bit darker at the end, though, than Whiplash does. Because you get that, like, the music note.
Lingering.
And the lingering shot of MJ. But
Whiplash ends, like, very kinetic and, like, happy.
Yeah,
But, like, Spider-Man, like, lingers for a moment.
Yeah.
Once you think about it. But I wanted to ask you a question.
Yes.
Whiplash, the film. What year?
2014.
2014. Right. Birdman. If you had to add a post-credit scene to Whiplash, what would it be? What would it be?
This MCU brain, bro. What has it done to you?
I'm asking you. It's funny. It's a fun joke. What is it?
It would be a little scene where it would be a jokey scene where him and Fletcher are like sitting down eating like a croissant or something like that after the show, and Fletcher's like, that was pretty crazy, wasn't it? And then it would end.
That'd be a great idea.
Yeah. Because I don't want it to give us any
new information.
Yeah, exactly. So I just make it like a stupid joke.
I would make it like...
Because if it gave you more information, it kind of ruins the ending. Like the ambiguous nature of the ending.
I would make it the dad, and he's trying to stock the what's it called? The pantry.
Oh, yeah.
He's trying to stock the pantry full of... what is it called?
Gushers.
He's trying to stock it full of Gushers, and he's like trying to hold up the Gushers, and then
there's too many.
There's too many.
Yeah.
And they topple all over him.
That would be good.
That's what I would think.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Good movie.
Great movie. Great post-credit scene ideas.
Great post-credit scene.
And yeah, what do you rate this movie?
10 out of 10. I really like it.
I give it 3 out of 3 stars.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great movie.
It's a great film.
Yeah, it is.
Truly. White Claw.
White Claw. Truly versus White Claw.
Which one do you pick? Leave it in
Shout
the
out to Paul. Shout out to Paul.
Why?
We saw this movie in theater together.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, shit.
Back in 2014.
Did Paul like it?
He did.
Good.
Yeah. So shout out to Paul.
Shout out to you, Paul. Shout out to Najee, my friend from elementary school.
Why?
Because he is cool.
Oh, shout out to him.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to be like a relation to Whiplash.
Yeah.
Oh, well, shout out to you.
Yeah. I think I had band with him.
Oh, okay. So there you go.
He just popped in my head.
Shout out to you, Najee.
Or not band, but like fucking like 2nd grade music class where you like just bang on stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. What else, Evan? You got anything else?
I think Miles Teller is underappreciated.
Underappreciated as an actor.
Yeah, he is. I think so. He's a good actor. I like.
He was
Miles
good
Teller.
in Top Gun.
He was good in Top Gun. He's in Too Old to Die Young.
Too Old to Die Young.
I like that miniseries. He was good in that.
What is that?
Good. It was
Cowboys.
No. It's like a crime. I mean, there's like kind of a Western element to it a bit. It's from the director of Drive, Nicholas Winding Refn.
Oh.
It's a miniseries he did for Amazon Prime. And Miles Teller is just like an assassin. And it's really good. I like it a lot. You should check it out. It's good. It's on Prime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, Miles.
Every episode is long. It's like how many episodes? Like 8 episodes or something like that. And some of them, like all the episodes are like an hour and a half or longer.
Oh shit.
Yeah. But it's really good. I liked it.
I might have to check it out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Miles is epic. J.K. Simmons is epic. Melissa Benoist is epic.
They're all great.
Yeah.
Paul Reiser is epic. He played Miles Teller's dad.
Oh yeah.
He was in Aliens. So
Yeah, he's epic too.
He's epic.
Yeah. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to do IMDb trivia?
Sure.
Should we?
Yeah.
Should we start doing that now? We've done it twice now.
I think we've done it more than twice.
Well, we did 2 times in a row, I should say.
Oh, yeah.
We did for Pink Flamingos, and then we did it for this. Let's see. Whiplash, IMDb.
Parents Guide.
Parent Guide.
Would you let your 10-year-old child watch this?
Probably not good. No, probably not good to watch as a 10-year-old.
The language is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Honestly, if the language wasn't that bad, I don't think it would be that bad to watch.
I'm gonna say if the language was in it, I don't think it would be rated R. That's probably the only reason.
The language is really bad.
But it's like I don't know. The themes I would say are they're more adult oriented.
Definitely,
maybe,
definitely more of an adult type movie.
All right, let's do this. During the more intense practice scenes, the director wouldn't yell "cut" so that Miles Teller would keep drumming until he exhausted himself. That's interesting.
It's a male manipulator for you.
Yeah, what the hell, Damien? You're a fucking dick.
Oh, I guess director would be a great job for a male manipulator.
Yeah.
Your job is just to manipulate people.
Oh, no, you know what's funny that you bring that up? I'm thinking about the perfectionism thing, and Fletcher, it reminded me of Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
Who is a known male manipulator and perfectionist. And he would make actors do like over 100 shots.
127 times.
And he notoriously drove Shelley Duvall to insanity.
Yeah.
No, I think she actually is like now. Like, she was like on the Dr. Phil show. She's like actually insane.
Yeah.
So she didn't directly go insane after The Shining, but it might have been, kind of like Whiplash, the long-term consequences of these things.
For sure.
So, Stanley Kubrick, maybe not a good person. Great director, but maybe not a good person.
Yeah, I don't think great art isn't worth, like, killing people.
Yeah.
I don't think.
I agree.
Film was shot in 19 days?
Oh, yeah.
That's very fast.
I can see it. Yeah, but it's very impressive, though, because the movie does not look, like, low budget or anything like that. And it has, respectable actors in it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to say, like, Miles Teller, he's definitely bigger now than he was when he was in that.
J.K. Simmons was pretty big.
Yeah, he was already a great actor.
Melissa Benoist.
I think they went before Supergirl, so I think this was, like, her big first thing, too.
This might have been the same year Supergirl came out. But,
really?
I'm joking, that doesn't matter.
Oh.
No, but it might be 2014. But either way, also, there's, like, a good amount of locations. Like the school, multiple concert halls.
Yeah.
Like the apartments, the movie theater. I don't know. There's like a good amount of locations. So 19 days is pretty
impressive.
Get it right, get it tight.
Yeah.
Get it right, get it tight.
And those performances also, because J.K. Simmons, he won an Oscar for the movie. So it's like
Did he?
only in 19 days
Supporting
you got
actor?
Yeah. So you got that performance from him in such a short span of time. That's pretty impressive. But it also speaks to J.K. Simmons' talent, of course.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Naturally.
The director and writer of the film, Damien Chazelle, could not get funding for the movie, so he instead turned it into a short film and submitted it into Sundance Film Festival in 2013. The short film ended up winning the Short Film Jury Award and got funding soon after. So I actually knew about this one, but I have not seen the short film.
Oh.
I haven't seen it. And you know who plays Andrew in it? Young Neil. He plays him in the short film.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And then I guess after after he was able to get into a feature film, he was like, fuck you. He's like, fuck you.
Damn.
Miles Teller. Which is interesting to me because that's what happened after Whiplash. Because when he was making La La Land, Miles Teller was initially supposed to be in the starring role. And then, of course, Whiplash was a big success. And he was like, fuck you, Ryan Gosling. So,
all the better.
Damien Chazelle, good person? Who knows? Maybe not.
Yeah, he seems like a Fletcher type.
For the slapping scene, J.K. Simmons and Miles Teller filmed several takes, with Simmons only miming the slap. For the final take, Simmons and Tellers decided to film the scene with a real genuine slap. This is the take that is in the film. Oh, that's nice.
Sure.
Yeah, they practiced it a few times.
Yeah, and he's making people hit people.
Yeah.
The director. He's a mean guy.
Wow, mean guy.
Yeah.
They agreed for it. You know, I forgot who said that. A director said this, and it kind of reminds me of the Stanley Kubrick thing, but I don't remember who it was. He basically said that actors are just tools
I think
that I can use.
I think it's Tarantino.
Was it?
Remember he because he said that about what's her name from Kill Bill, right?
Did he?
Because didn't he like fuck her up in the car or something?
I don't remember.
I think he like hit her in the car or something. I think it might have been Tarantino.
It might have been, but yeah. But anyways, that's Fletcher-esque.
That is Fletcher-esque.
We talked about J.K. Simmons winning awards already.
He's won many awards for this movie.
Miles Teller, who has played drums since he was 15, received blisters on his hands due to the vigorous, unconventional style of jazz drumming. Some of his blood was on the drumsticks and the drum set as a result. Ooh, so maybe some real blood in there?
So he really did
some
bleed
real blood in there?
a little bit.
Damn. Although a visual double was used, all of Andrew's drumming was performed by Miles Teller himself to pre-recorded tracks. About 40% of Teller's drumming was used in the soundtrack. Nice.
That's cool. Talented. Multi-talented. I was actually wondering about that because I was like, Miles Teller is like kind of a pretty famous actor. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking, like, I wonder, did he already know how to drum?
Well, guess what he did?
Well, guess what he did?
But he didn't know jazz drumming. He
ain't no jazz drumming.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That fucked him up. J.K. Simmons stated his character Fletcher, calling Andrew a self-righteous little prick, was the only line he improvised. That's interesting, because I feel like this is a character with how much shit he talks. It's kind of open to a lot of improv.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, more credit to Damien Chazelle for writing the script then.
I guess some of the lines I was like is a little cringe, but
oh, you think so?
Yeah.
It helped drive the point that he was an asshole.
Well, yeah. I guess it was supposed to be in that type of way.
This film was one of the lowest grossing movies ever to be nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture. It definitely should have won, in my opinion, for that year. Upon rewatch, I was like, yeah, I definitely think it should have won. Birdman won. I like Birdman, but it's definitely not as good as Whiplash.
I haven't seen Birdman in like 7 years. But I would say this is better than Birdman. Mm-hmm. Birdman has that kind of what you were saying about La La Land. Like, it has that kind of, like, pretentious, like, Hollywood... Like, Hollywood loves itself.
Yeah, they do. They love that shit, yeah.
This is an actual movie.
Yeah.
Like, Whiplash is an actual movie about something.
Yeah.
Birdman just feels like pretentious, kind of...
I'm not going to shit on it completely, because the way there's a lot of impressive technical aspect to Birdman, like how it's shot like a play, and then it's about
actor,
the play, like them doing the play and whatnot. And the acting is great in it. Like Michael Keaton was great in it, but I agree with your overall point though. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying Birdman sucks. I actually thought I thought it was good, but this movie is like Birdman is like inside baseball. Mm-hmm. This movie's a good movie, and it's just good no matter who you are. Like, you know what I mean?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. We can skip through a little bit. There's a lot of trivia. Let's talk about this one. In the scene where J.K. Simmons yells, "I will fuck you like a pig," you may notice that the camera cuts away from him when he delivers the line. The line was actually taken from the short film. The original line was, "I'm going to gut you like a fucking pig." Damien Chazelle thought the new line was hilarious and included it in the production script. Simmons thought it was ridiculous and refused to say that line, but Chazelle included the mistake in post-production anyways. Okay, cool.
Wait, so that was the short film. I guess he misspoke. Is that right? Or there was like a mistakes. What is it called?
That's the line from "I'll fuck you like a pig." That was from the short film, and then in the movie he was supposed to say, "I'm going to gut you like a fucking pig." Right? Yeah. Is that it's kind of confusing?
I think it's not written perfectly, but I think what it means is that there was a take for the short film where he says, "I will fuck you like a pig," and then he said that on accident, and then the director thought it was funny, so he put it in the real movie.
Yeah.
After it was like a cut thing, like a mistake in the first one.
I guess that makes sense.
Like it was one of the original takes for the first one where it was like a flub.
Yeah.
Anyways. It is stupid. Like it's a stupid line.
Yeah.
It's
fuck you like a
it's
pig.
funny.
Early in the film, Andrew listened to a CD of Buddy Rich. Buddy Rich was a drummer infamous for his short temper, and he would regularly berate and verbally abuse his bandmates for what he considered inferior musicianship. They foreshadowed Fletcher's abusive treatment of his students. That's something we wouldn't have caught that. Yeah.
Good detail. So yeah, it clearly though, what's his name, likes jazz.
Yeah, he knows he knows about the music. On his date with Nicole, a song comes on in the background that Andrew recognizes as Jackie Hill from 1938. There is no such jazz artist named Jackie Hill. That song, along with many of the compositions featured in the film, are works of the film's composer Justin Hurwitz. Oh, I kind of wish I didn't know that. I kind of wish they actually chose some old ass jazz track and he knew it. But then again, maybe they couldn't afford it, because licensing is certainly a thing.
Yeah, and the movie probably didn't make its money back.
Yeah, so.
Oh, I got one. Andrew appears in every scene.
Oh, Andrew appears in every scene. We were talking about this a little bit just a moment ago. So, Damien Chazelle wanted Miles Teller for the role of Andrew Neiman when he was filming the original short film, but Teller was unavailable, so Johnny Simmons was cast instead. When casting the feature film version, the finalists for the role were Teller and Simmons. Teller was cast because he was a better known name than the actual drummer. So there you go. So La La Land.
It kind of feels like what's his name? Johnny Simmons.
Yeah.
Feels like he wasn't a choice.
Well, what do you mean?
Like the way Teller was cast because he was a better known name and an actual drummer.
No,
so it sounds like what were the other reasons for the other guy? Doesn't seem like there was a reason. Maybe he looked a little younger. I don't know.
Let's see.
Oh, that one's kind of interesting. Go up.
Mm-hmm.
Early drafts of the original screenplay were written as a psychological thriller. It kind of still is.
Yeah, I was gonna say it kind of is.
It kind of still is. That feels like a just like a bullshit one.
Yeah.
That's because on IMDb sometimes people just put bullshit or extrapolate on stuff.
Yeah.
That one feels like bullshit. I mean, there's probably some interview where fucking the director said it was more psychologically oriented, but the way they phrase it is just it
already is. Okay. J.K. Simmons. Oh, I want to mention the film because I do quite like Ethan Hawke in Boyhood. J.K. Simmons was up against Ethan Hawke for Boyhood 2014 at the Academy Award for Best Actor at Supporting Role. Hawke played a character on and off occasionally over the course of 12 years. Simmons played his for 19 days, which we were just mentioning as well.
Fuck you,
that's
Ethan.
Interesting.
Fuck you.
I thought Ethan Hawke was good in Boyhood. Oh yeah, Boyhood. That was also better than Birdman. Damn, 2014 was a good year.
That's what I was saying.
Shit.
Yeah. That was one of the first years I remember. Like, I remember thinking like, damn, I should actually watch some of these. Like Oscar movies.
Yeah.
You know?
A lot of people shit on Boyhood for whatever reason, but I think it's a great movie, and I really like Richard Linklater.
I think people resent it for the gimmick.
I think it's a great movie.
But you know what I mean? I think people think like, oh, like, this is just a stunt movie. Yeah. I think that's part of why.
I mean, it works as like kind of like, besides just being a good movie, which it is, I think it also kind of works as like an art piece. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like obviously like doing this, like it was like an experiment.
Yeah.
You know, like let's make a movie like that. Obviously, no one's done that before. I don't know why I resent that. Why he tried something new? Why not? I guess we can leave it off with this one because it kind of ties into the movie. Damien Chazelle got into a car accident halfway through film. So I wonder, was it already in the movie and he wrote that in because of that? Or it was probably already there, but, you know, it's an interesting twist. Any other pieces of trivia that stick out to you?
Well, usually the spoiler ones are sometimes pretty interesting.
Jesus.
What?
J.K. Simmons suffered 2 cracked ribs when Miles Teller tackled him during the last 2 days of shooting. Simmons continued to work despite his injury. Shit.
There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that reminds me of the like subject matter.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Jesus Christ.
Like him slapping Miles Teller, him drumming and actually like bleeding from his hands, and then like the tackling actually cracking J.K. Simmons' ribs.
Jesus.
That is pretty crazy.
Okay, so this is also interesting because this is about our point about the ending. When asked about the film's ending, J.K. Simmons claimed that he and writer-director Damien Chazelle wanted to inspire discussion and debate and not decide. Are we happy for Andrew Neiman or are we lamenting his loss of humanity? The debate I love is how far and too far, how much and too much. Is it worth it? The kind of relentless abuse might be necessary and appropriate if you're training Navy SEALs. And that's funny, you brought up the Army thing earlier. But I don't know if it's appropriate in a music school. But it's there and it can be productive. There's no denying that. From my own perspective, I'd rather have a pretty girlfriend than go work with this guy and have my hands bleed all the time. I would have made a different choice. And you mentioned that it's like, well, people can kind of decide, well, which of those 2 lives do I want to live?
Yeah, because I think there's not a clear cut, like, oh no, like this is he's going down the wrong path.
Yeah.
I don't think, like, people are different.
Mm-hmm.
Some people take music as serious as the Army. Some people take animating as serious as the Army, or like any creative pursuit.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing because it's self-imposed like insane discipline and self-destruction and shit like that. So there is one I wanted to mention that I saw up there. It was like basically the movie was inspired by just like a band instructor that Damien Chazelle, is that, am I saying it right?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's how you say it last time.
It was inspired by a band instructor he had that he was just intimidated by. Like, I don't think he even necessarily, like, he wasn't like abusive, but he was just like, it's interesting how that kind of thing can inspire you, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Because it's just thinking about, like, oh, what kind of life would this guy have, like, outside of this? Like, what is he really like?
Yeah.
Or like applying it to like a different story idea you have about a tortured artist or something. I don't know. I find that stuff pretty interesting. Just comes from a very real world inspiration. I kind of wanted to mention this one as well, if you don't mind. Mm-hmm. The studio originally gave Damien Chazelle a note saying he's good at drumming, we get it. In an attempt to try and take out the ending drum solo, Chazelle disagreed and kept the drum solo in the film.
Thank you, Damien Chazelle.
Because that would be stupid.
Yeah.
It's like the whole fucking point.
Yeah.
They cut a scene that I guess presumably would have been the only scene without Andrew.
Yeah.
That's interesting too.
I'm kind of glad they did cut. Jason Reitman convinced Damien Chazelle to cut a scene involving Fletcher sitting alone in his apartment after Andrew's first studio band class. Then, due to the fact the film is all from Andrew's perspective, and scenes without him will detract the tone of the film. I think it's good for that, but I also think it's like, I feel like if they had that part with Fletcher,
it would humanize Fletcher.
I wasn't even gonna say that.
Oh,
it would though, but I think it would then it would make it less ambiguous. The ending.
Maybe.
Because it's like, oh,
well, we don't know what
it's
the
like
scene
this.
is.
It's like, oh, this dude is sitting alone in his apartment. So it's like,
it would paint him as more sad.
Yeah, you know
most
what I mean?
likely.
Yeah. So I'm kind of glad they didn't do that.
Yeah, I'm glad they kept that out of it too, because there's also like an element of like, this movie's very clean from a B plot. Mm-hmm. Like there's zero like B plot going on. I mean, there's like other characters, but it's just all it's straight Andrew.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I like the idea that there's no like, oh, something's going on over here, something's going on. Like, you don't need.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you don't need. I'd be interested to see the scene though. But
I would too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's in deleted scenes.
Oh, this is funny. Well, not funny. In an interview with Screen Crush, Damien Chazelle stated the ending implied Andrew's future would be like Charlie Parker, where he would rather die drunk and broke at the age of 34, which is like, that's kind of what you mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. Like he's gonna die.
Yeah.
Like in a drunk car crash.
And that was the drummer he brought up at dinner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This was earlier remarked in the heat of, during the dinner scene. Yeah, and we mentioned this. Chazelle also mentioned that he deliberately ended the film without any scene between Andrew and Fletcher after the performance, as he believes their competitive relationship to be unresolved. So yeah, I'm happy. You like think like, oh, what are they gonna be like after this? I'm happy they don't show that.
Because I feel like there would still be a back and forth.
Yeah.
Like forever. Which would be hard to convey at the end of a movie. So they just kind of have that small moment of like recognition. This was also interesting. Fletcher forces Neiman to count off 215 beats per minute. Is that right?
I think that's what BPM is.
Then insults him for getting it wrong. But Neiman's timing is actually perfect. This is an early clue that Fletcher is playing a twisted game with him to try to turn him into a legendary magician. That is fucked.
Well, there's something kind of similar. I mean, it's kind of similar to that. The one player, I don't know what instrument he's playing, one of the trombone or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
The guy who's he's actually in tune.
The fat guy.
Yeah, he's actually in tune, but he makes him believe he is off tune.
So that
out of tune, I should say.
That speaks to what we were saying earlier really well. Is the movie doesn't spell shit out for you.
Yeah.
Like, if you're watching that scene, I assumed maybe he was a hair off every time. But he wasn't, I guess.
Yeah.
If you're a music guy, I guess you can tell he's not.
Yeah.
So the difference, I guess, between the guy that he kicks out and Neiman, well, I guess Neiman, it was his first day, and Neiman also didn't quit.
Yeah.
And it kind of, the way that Fletcher picks on that guy who did nothing wrong and kicks him out implies that he might be doing the same thing to Neiman, to Andrew, without you having to know any music stuff, because you can just compare.
Yeah.
You know? Because the tune thing, they kind of explain to you and it's easy to get, but the BPM thing is pretty, like, specific, and, like, you'd have to be, like, skilled to really know is he actually perfectly on time or not.
Yeah.
Most people, I don't think, could tell you, but...
No, that's a detail I definitely would not have known, yeah.
I think that's really interesting, and like you said, compared to that, because the movie gives you the information that Fletcher will fuck with people like that. So, I don't know. That was really good.
It was good.
And that's kind of what we were talking about earlier, like, it feeds you that information.
Yeah.
Like, through the story and, like, emotion, not just, like, exposition. So, it was really smart. Let's, in the original screenplay, Andrew practices with the JVC band. The scene reveals that the band had not had a drummer already. So that was the band at the end of the movie, right?
Yeah. So he would have picked up on the lie.
Yeah.
Because he tells them, oh, our drummer's not working out earlier. Yeah.
But I think that was a good thing to cut too, because, like I said, at least outright, Fletcher doesn't lie. I guess he did kind of lie about the beats per minute thing, and like, well, there's a few things he probably lied about, but he doesn't like outright lie, like to our faces as the viewer. So I think that was good. Yeah, I guess that's about it.
Cool. IMDb trivia.
Very good.
Very good. So yeah, now that was RNS Podcast.
Now it's RNS Podcast. Some little extra fun facts for you. Some good fun facts on there. We thank you again for watching. Thank you for listening. Please leave a like. We did a lot of hard work preparing those fun facts. We did a lot of prep time for that. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.